Okay, we're recording now, and I'll let everyone else in the waiting room in. Thank you. Okay, for those that will be our public members, I want you to let you know that once you make your public comment after we start the meeting, you will be placed back in the waiting room. If you want to speak and make a public comment, please use the raise hand, I believe on the bottom of the screen to let me know that you want to make a public comment. And keep your videos off. Thank you. We can start now.
We have a quorum? It looks like we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay. This is the regular meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission. Today is May 20th, 2021. Seeing a quorum, this meeting is officially called to order. Madam Recording Secretary, please take roll call.
Fran Gutierrez.
Here.
Robin McNair.
Here.
Fernando Olivares.
Here.
Jose Hernandez.
Here.
Deborah Russell.
Here.
Indigo Vu.
Here.
Andrea Harris.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Quorum.
Yes.
We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody ready for the Pledge of Allegiance? It says, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are ready for public comment. Are you there, Secretary?
I'm here.
So we're ready for, at this time, members of the public may address the Arts and Culture Commission regarding any non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee. No action may be taken on non-agenda items unless authorized by law. Does the public have any comments they wish to share with the commission? Please note that you have 3 minutes to speak. So, Madam Secretary, you control the 3 minutes so we could efficiently go through our meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have Alicia Rojas. Alicia Rojas, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you see me or can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Alicia Rojas. I'm a local artist, resident in Ward 1. I wanted to first say thank you and welcome to Commissioner Andrea. It's nice to have you here. Also, I wanted to say thank you to all the commissioners who pushed really, really hard during the last month to get the Ad Hoc Committee on the agenda. We really, really appreciate you hearing us. With that said, I think we're in a very special time in Santa Ana. And when it comes to arts, we have a new Arts Commission. We have an excellent city council. I think the most progressive we've had as of date. And all I see is the possibilities, right? All the things that we can actually do and accomplish. We've had a lot of base blocks throughout the years. I was part of the steering arts committee for the master plan. And I think when it comes to Art Walk right now and the Ad Hoc, my recommendation for the Ad Hoc committee is to form an art advisory board made of artists and residents who have a stakeholder in Art Walk, and let's try to figure out how we can fund it. And even though currently the city's position that this is not a city event, we artists know that this has been an organic event that was created by the artist. Downtown Inc. says it was inherited to them. That was never the case. There was never any public meetings regarding Art Walk and them taking that over. I think we're at the drawing board now where we can reimagine what Art Walk can be and what we can do together, grassroots again, and have the city support and the funding. We're not asking for handouts. Art Walk is definitely an economic development for the city, along with all the programs that have currently been unfortunately suspended due to COVID and finances, like the artist grants. We have not heard anything from the city on that. I understand from city staff that they haven't been funded. So we would like for the commission to do whatever they can to create another meeting, especially just for the budget. Let's pass something soon. Let's recommend an arts funding budget to the city council as soon as possible. Let's not lose this opportunity that we have now. So I thank you to the arts commissioners, because I know this is a voluntary position and I know this is your time. I love seeing the agenda more full today. I really appreciate that. Let's get going. You know, we have a lot of people on the ground that are here to help you make this happen. We're here to support you. Bring us to the table with this advisory board and let's make things happen. Let's pass a budget. Let's pass a budget and a recommendation to city council as soon as possible. Si se puede. Vamos, let's get on it.
Alicia, your time is up.
So thank you so much. Thank you, Gabby and Tram and everybody in there working hard as well. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, we have media arts.
Hi, everybody. This is Victor Payan, the Director of Media Arts, Santa Ana. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm a resident of Santa Ana in Pacific Park East Side neighborhood. And I wanted to talk about a few things. One is the importance of making recommendations to the council. That's one of the key positions of the functions of the commission. And I have to say that since the commission got started, there were a lot of blocks to getting things done, putting things on the agenda. So yes, Alicia is correct that there are more things on the agenda, but that's not something to take for granted when there were years when, if you look at the agenda, the Youth Commission agenda was much more robust and the Youth Commission budget was much more robust. So it's very important to use that tool of making recommendations to the council for budgetary items, because if you don't, the budget gets slashed, as we saw, which is what happened over the past 4 or 5 years. So you are in a great position to do so, to look at the arts master plan. I too was on the master plan committee. I think Alicia resigned very early on in the process, but those who stuck it out to the end put in some really great recommendations. If you look at it, there's a need for community spaces and stages. There's a need for amenities and programs in the entire city, not just in the downtown. And I agree that this is a recommendation that we made before, that there needs to be a committee of people that are helping guide the art walk, but those should be festival people that have done work in Santa Ana, in the downtown. Rudy from Calacas, Suavecito, the people who put together Noche de Altares, like Media Arts Santa Ana, we do the festival, the film festival in town, people who really know what the potential is. That Art Walk is not just about the vendors, it's about creating a stimulator for the local artists economy, for the artists, for the organizations to be presented, to be seen, to build audiences. And Art Walk in this traditional sense kind of chases people away who would be able to build on that. So there also needs to be a Sunday art brunch so that we can curate more activities that are geared toward conversation and encounter and discovery, and not just kind of like looking at what's cool and going to the bars. It's, and there needs to be equity so that the students get paid for performing, so that there is representation from all the different wards of the city. There are 12 months, so that's 2 art walks a year that each ward could be represented.
Victor, your time is up. I'm sorry.
Okay, and to stress the importance of making recommendations to the city for a budget.
Thank you. And we have Pocha Peña. Go ahead, Pocha. I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for convening again and for addressing all these vital concerns of our creative community here in Santa Ana. I want to talk today about two items. One is about funding and the other is about partnerships. So first of all, funding. I want to encourage you, as the previous speakers have, to please do make an ask of City Council for some funding. I think it's important for there to be some kind of a set aside or regular revenue stream to be identified and cultivated for the Art Commission and other commissions. It's important so you can carry on important and vital programs such as the annual arts grants. The arts grants are wonderful because besides having a theme, you can also use them to apply to specific focus areas in the city. For example, South Main, you can do a dedicated round cycle of arts grants just for South Main, or just for the OC streetcar area, or just for the Station District. As these development projects roll out, you can partner with the creatives in the city to tell the story about the communities where these transformations are happening. And number two, partnerships. A great way to make these things happen and help tell our historic story as the number 2 top historic destination here in Orange County is by partnering with the Historic Resources Commission. I'm a Historic Resources Commissioner, and I really hope that a representative from the Arts Commission can come and serve on the Historic Resources Commission as an Arts Commission representative. We already have a representative from planning and a representative from community development. So I think that there's already a precedent for having those partnerships, these kind of inter-commission partnerships happen. So likewise, I hope that the Art Commission is also open to having other commissions sit on the Art Commission, so we can have some more cross-commission projects, like planning would be a great person to partner with the Art Commission, Historic Resources, and the Youth Commission, of course. So those are that's my input for this meeting. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to having good dialogue take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Pocha. Just a reminder that once you made your public comment, I will be placing you back to the waiting room. If you want to still listen to the meeting, you can watch it and listen to through YouTube. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wants to make a public comment?
Hello, everyone. Sorry, hi. I was trying to raise my hand, but I could not raise my hand. I'm not sure if is it appropriate for me to speak or not.
Yes, go ahead, Jenny.
Okay, well, hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Bernal. I've been an artist, local artist in Santa Ana for about 13 years now. I came here with nothing. I'm an immigrant. I was undocumented, young, and a dreamer, really, truly. And 13 years later, I can say I've done great things for Santa Ana when it comes to the arts. I was the art walk coordinator for downtown Santa Ana for the last 7 years. I was the person that pushed really, really hard to bring the SAUSD to participate within the art world of our city. That especially, I'm also an artist, a teacher. I work with OCDAC. I teach art with the after school program. And this is one of the places where I noticed our students knew nothing about the City of the Arts in Orange County. And it made me very sad. And so I've been pushing really, really hard for the last 10 years for integration. And I feel that it's been really good. And I think the integration is there, but we're lacking funding. And so I'm so grateful to have a commission that I feel represents me for the first time, truly. And again, I was one of the people that pushed for this. Like, we were the United Artists of Santa Ana, and the last commissions I feel like didn't go anywhere. So I'm really hopeful for like this year. I think it's a strong year. I think we're seeing in other cities, they're doing wonderful programming. Even in Oakland right now, they're having like a town hall about art funding. So I'm really happy. A lot of people here I know support me, and we're behind this, like pushing for more art and for more connections. So thank you guys. I'm really excited to be here and hear your thoughts. So thank you for letting me speak too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You will be placed back in the waiting room. Okay. I don't have anyone else that would like to speak. Frank, we don't have any
It looks like we don't,
other.
huh?
No.
I like to do something if it's permissible as far as commissioners, but I wanted to get an idea of how each one of us thinks about Santa Ana. So I don't know if you could do it in a minute because we have a long agenda. But if you could give me what your vision is about Santa Ana, and it would give us an idea of the direction your mind is going, and we have to work in the consensus. So the more we know about each other, and we know that we can communicate on the same thought process, it's going to make it easier. If it is appropriate, and this is something that, is it appropriate? We would have to, I guess, go forward, or no, or we just move forward to the agenda. Do I have any
Yes, I think it's
Yeah.
appropriate if we can go ahead and do that. I think it's great.
Okay. My responsibility, and
your
since I
microphone's
brought the
going in.
thought, I'm gonna move forward with what is that, Bianca?
Your microphone is getting cut off and it's very hard to understand what you're trying to say.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. My internet's a little, when you live in Washington Square, I don't know, for some reason, communication is really kind of calm. We'll try to speak slow if you could hear me, but hopefully you could hear me. So I'm going to give my vision of Santa Ana. Business started from a business that was established out of Santa Ana in 1974 by Frank Palmer. Frank Palmer still exists under Frank Palmer Insurance. I known him for a long time. My ex-brother-in-law worked for him for many years. So my first business was totally based on understanding 4th Street and the way it operated. I ended up developing a business not in Santa Ana, but I took that same model and I worked with the Latino community for almost 15 years, totally 99%, just like Santa Ana. And but at the same time, things changed. And as they changed, I transformed and I got into a business that I thought I would enjoy, would be the art business. And what I envisioned for Santa Ana is that the world changes. 99% of my clients now are from the coast. They're not from Santa Ana or even from Costa Mesa, they're from the coast. And what I envision and what's happening is that the economics of Santa Ana, due to the fact that nowadays, everything is pretty expensive, we're having changes. And if we look at what we have in Santa Ana, we have a beautiful historic downtown that could be utilized, for the function of, I would say, we could invite the people from Disney, okay? We could invite the international, we could make it an international center with a Latin flavor, since there's so many Latin-based people in this community, and also Vietnamese and Korean and some of the other major population aspects. And at the same time, I think we could fulfill the needs of our community by working with parks and recreation and having events like Dia de la Noche, the altar night at Bicentennial Park. And I talked to Nelida and she thought it was a great idea. It's in Ward 6. So you know, it's in my ward, and definitely we could work with Heritage to do some events that it would be really cool for the general population. So I think we could do both things. And as we talked tonight about Art Walk, you know, and since I've been involved in art world for such a long time, I'm very much aware what Art Walk is in Laguna, in Palm Desert, and certain key cities. And to be honest with you, Art Walk is about selling art so the artist can survive. And we have to have an ambience that brings people that could buy art. Otherwise, artists will not make a living. And that should be a major aspect of Art Walk. And I think we could accomplish both factors of those by, you know, doing and working with arts and recreation, and establishing Central Santa Ana as a historical international Disneyland aspect of how we could get people into the core of Santa Ana. So that's my vision. Ward 1, what is your vision?
I think for me, I personally am much less focused on the business side of things. I come from an education background, and I worked a lot with students in the past 10 years of my life. And I, for one, mostly want to see Santa Ana arts and culture be a place where true solidarity amongst different communities happens. I want to see arts and culture as a way to explore identities thoroughly and transparently with one another, so that we don't have communities that only partake in each other's cultures really superficially, not just like eating each other's food, not just, oh, I celebrate this holiday, so I'm part of this culture, but a community truly where we understand each other's needs, we understand each other's full humanity, and we stick up for each other. And I think that some of the work that has been done lately with, for example, the resolution passing in Santa Ana unanimously in support of the Vision Act, I think those acts, those resolutions are what will bring the city together, what will bring actual community into the city. And I know that we do need funding for that. I know that we need to support the people who live here. I don't want to be a proponent for anything that would push out historic residents of Santa Ana out because of the raising of prices. I don't want to be a proponent for gentrification in any way, shape, or form. And I think that we can still absolutely find solutions that create this updated feel to Santa Ana without gentrifying our city as well.
Thank you. Ward 2.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm new to the group and I'm very happy to be here. My vision and the reason I got involved and wanted to be on the commission is because I agree with Indigo. I also agree with Frank. I think that we have to think about our community as a whole. We need to serve our community. We need to serve our educational missions. We need to serve our artistic missions, our business missions, and we need to take this to the highest level we can. But one of the ways I think we really need to do that is we have to have strong leadership, and each one of us needs to represent the city. We also need to be in communication with our wards. Each commission member, I think, should be reaching out to their wards, getting to know their neighbors, and being there to actually have conversations and to listen to what the community desires are. We're here to serve, and so I want to serve my community. I also think we have to be in communication with one another. And I'm so glad that we were able to have communication now with each other, a list of contacts. And I really hope to meet with each and every one of you and have a great conversation about the future of our city. We have an incredible master plan. We have incredible ideas, but we don't have funding to back it up. So I think right now we need to start talking about that and making sure that we're speaking with our council, making sure we're in partnership with our council, with our mayor and our community. And so ultimately, I think listening, I think reaching out, and I think making sure we're being inclusive. There's a lot of exclusionary things that happen. People feel like they've been pushed out of opportunity of things that have happened in the city. I think we need to be in better communication with each other. And so I hope to be able to help with that and also be a part of that with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. Deborah, you're next.
Yes. You know, I'll be honest, I did not read thoroughly the master plan until in preparation for this meeting. And I just wanted to surface some of the comments that kind of surprised me as I went back to really take a deeper look at it, which is that the city, the residents of Santa Ana really believe in the arts. They believe it's an important part of the community. And they believe that the city should play a vital role in ensuring that events like Art Walk and some of the festivals take place. And so I think that's such an important piece that we're going to play in this work. And then just to surface something that's important to my heart, but also that was surfaced in the master plan, which is the role of children and families. I really see events like Art Walk and the goals that were set in the master plan for like a youth arts access program and neighborhood arts programs as something that could start from Art Walk and really then radiate out. And I think we have a responsibility to ensure that we're, I think Yenny said, you know, our youth know what this city, the values of this city, the assets of this city, and they can think creatively. I work in education as well. And, you know, if there's one skill that the future employers are looking for, it's people who can think in more innovative ways. And so we have an opportunity to not only sort of drive a part of the economy, the creative economy, which I had no idea was such a significant portion of Santa Ana in contrast with state or national percentages. So that was really impressive. But I think we have a responsibility or an opportunity here, I should say, to focus on that and really dedicate city funds so that we all prosper.
Thank you, Deborah. Robin, what's your vision for Santa Ana?
I'm in alignment with everything that's been said and want to augment, amplify, and support all of those statements and add that I want the arts community to be a pipeline for our youth. To what Deborah just said, we do live in the U.S. creative economy capital right here. And we need to give our students and our youth the opportunities to be empowered to access those jobs that are the billions of dollars worth of industry, part of which Santa Ana is. And if they have access to that, then the people coming from the Midwest or other parts of the country taking those jobs won't be able to do it because our youth will have access to doing that. So also there's a lot of, you know, policy and things happening at the state around the arts and arts education. And I want him to give the opportunity for our youth to have a voice in that, right? They need to shape what their education can and should be. And so I see this commission being an opportunity for the youth to learn and to even develop youth arts leadership. So that's part of what I want to add to the whole conversation, in addition to all the support, a place for our community to find its own identity. It's an economic engine for the city. There's so many aspects to that. And I appreciate the visions that have been expressed thus far. And I'm looking forward to the rest. So.
Thank you, Robin. Fernando, what is your vision?
Well, first of all, I love my city. I love Santa Ana. I love our diverse communities that we have. It's full of just culture and communities with with deep roots. We also have a rich history in Santa Ana. A lot of it that I'm actually just learning about, and I really want to share what we have. You know, my vision is to put Santa Ana on the map, and I think the arts can play a big role in doing this. I'm here to serve and support my community, and I want to focus on our youth. I want to focus, because they're the up and coming artists. I feel like we could do this with more programs, youth events, and also bring in more resources.
Thank you, Fernando. Jose, what is your vision for Santa Ana?
I think most of my thoughts have been expressed already by my fellow commissioners. So I I think the big thing that I want to add to the conversation is around solidarity with the art community. I think over the years, as I've experienced it, at least for the past 10 years, you see that artists get split up, for various reasons, or, for good reasons and not so good reasons around, the issues of displacement and development and growth, within our communities, and it's like, so I'd like that to change. And I always try to be the bridge between, different camps or different groups, because there's so much talent, and sometimes we're pitted against each other, and, the machine that is capitalism picks winners and losers out of our communities. But at the end, we're not, labels put upon us by other people. We're human beings, trying to make a sense in the world, and especially when it comes to artists and the struggle, the concept of the struggling artist. It's always, that the financial aspect of it makes for tough decisions to be made when it comes to, how to become sustainable, what funds the arts, and whether or not those are really going to be like long-term and community-based, interests that fund the arts. So I think we have, like folks have been saying, we have a really important opportunity right now with the council and with this commission to really put our brains together and push forward a lot of the ideas that the community has had for years surrounding the arts. So I'm really hopeful with today's meeting, really putting a step forward towards that community-driven vision for what art looks like in Santa Ana, integrated, intersectional, and uplifting. And again, enough can't be said about the importance of our youth. Santa Ana's youth-heavy community, and the demographics, show it compared to other cities. So it is in our best interest to just, include them and put them, in at the forefront when it comes to us thinking about what our vision for Santa Ana looks like, and what we can do now, but also what seeds we can plant, to build up that pipeline to get folks that really, from our schooling, from Santa Ana Unified School District, to getting internships and being able to get connected with the Santa Ana College programs around arts, to let you know that there is a way for artists to make a living here in Santa Ana, and they don't have to go, to OSHA, or other, schools. Like they're, and this is not a knock at folks that, are doing great work, but the fact of the matter is a lot of the students come from South County, when we have a lot of artists locally, whether it's in the visual arts or the performing arts or, literature and stuff that can be and should be invested and brought, into conversation about what art looks like in our communities and in our city and art. So I'm really hopeful to continue to stir that. But the vision is only possible with, the intentional directives of our council and our city leadership when it comes to funding. So we've got to fund these dreams so that they can become a reality. And I look forward to be continuing to be an advocate for that along with my fellow commissioners.
Thank you, Fernando. Just as a final note on this and I like to bring it up because I've dealt with artists for the past 30 years. And unfortunately, the saying is starving artist. And I've seen too many artists that, older artists, people that have been out there 10, 20 years, 30 years, and they are still starving, okay? That means that what happens is focus, and sometimes as an artist and efficient, hopefully, but I'm aware of that. John Palas on time. I'm aware of the kind of money that goes into the school system, and I feel a responsibility
Fran, we cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yes, this is Washington Square, but I'll leave it at that because I've been in the game for a long time and I see the reality. And yes, my daughter went to OSHA. So you tell me, do I know about the art? I know about the art and I know about OSHA. So with that said, the next thing on our agenda is our consent calendar. This is the time for commission to consider matters under consent calendar, item 1 and 2. Consent calendar items, minutes of the regular meeting of February 18, 2021. Do we have approval of the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Our second item is excuse absences. Do we have a recommendation, action, excuse absent commission members?
We don't have any absences today.
Okay, perfect. So we're fine on that. So
And
today we have.
Chair, we'll have to take a vote on that first motion. So Bianca, if you could do a roll call vote since we're online, that would be appreciated.
Of course. When I call your name, please say aye. Thank you. Fran Gutierrez,
Aye.
Robin Wagner,
Aye.
Fernando Olivares,
Aye.
Jose Hernandez,
Aye.
Deborah Russell,
Aye.
Indigo Wu,
Aye.
Andrea Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move forward with our presentations at this moment. We have 2 presentations. Please note that there will be no motion or action taken on these items. The first item is powers, duties, and responsibility, which is training. And the second is, of course, the art. Madam Secretary, who's gonna lead the Brown Act?
Ryan, oh, you.
That is me. I will take over from here. Thank you, Chair. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. I am not the best at this, so if I put the wrong screen up, please let me know. Okay. Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. Last time I tried that, it took me 4 or 5 attempts, so I'm glad that worked out. So this is, my name is Ryan Hodge. I'm Assistant City Attorney with the city. And this presentation for the Arts and Culture Commission is to review the powers, duties, and responsibilities of the commission and you as commissioners. So the purpose here, again, is to go over the authority that each of you as commissioners has and that the commission has in general to review items. Also going to be going over some of the Brown Act procedures that need to be followed during these meetings. We'll also review some legal and ethical considerations for the commission and commissioners. And we will review some of the best practices for the meetings and acting as commissioner. Now, notably, this commission was created somewhat more recently compared to some of our other commissions, but it was created by ordinance number NS 2856. City Council adopted that ordinance in December of 2013, which added a division to Chapter 2 of the San Diego Municipal Code, establishing the Arts and Culture Commission. And pursuant to Section 2-551 of that ordinance, there are 7 members to the commission. Each one of the commissioners is intended to have an expertise in one of the listed items here: visual, performing, or literary arts, architecture, design, or urban planning, education, history, science, film, and arts and culture institution management. So as you can see, there is a broad wealth of experience and interests in this commission. Now, section 2-553 enumerates the powers and duties of the commission. So the Arts and Culture Commission has the following powers and duties. Notably, it is an advisory body to the city manager and the city council regarding the following issues: arts and culture activities, economic development through the arts, celebration of the cultural heritage of the city, public arts projects, and city art acquisitions. Additionally, the intention of the commission and the commissioners is to advocate for arts education, cultural diversity, and other initiatives that further the growth and sustainability of the arts and cultural community in Santa Ana. Such other powers and duties as may be appropriate to carry out these goals as set forth by the city council. And what's notable there is that the city council has created these authorities and these powers. So these are specifically put in place by city council action. And so the commission and the commissioners have to act within these powers and duties. If there's ever an intent to add or expand on those powers and duties, that would require going through city council and requires further city council action to amend the municipal code to add those powers and duties. So the commission, finally, subsection D there also references that the commission will consider matters referred to it by the city manager and city council. The commission is also regulated by its own set of bylaws, and the bylaws essentially create the rules for the meetings. So Article 1 talks about the commission, lays out, how who the members of the commission are. Article 2 lays out the rules for elections. Article 3 discusses the meeting procedures, the time of the meetings, when they occur, and then Article 4 lays out the conduct of the commissioners during the public hearings. Now, changing course into talking about what you as arts and culture commissioners are responsible for. Most notably, as arts and culture commissioners, you are public officials. So while you remain an individual with your own associated rights and thoughts and beliefs, you are a public official representing the city of Santa Ana, not necessarily your own personal views. So as you review these items, as you review the different matters that come before the commission, you are supposed to be thinking about what would be best for the city of Santa Ana. So going into commissioner communication procedures. So when we're talking with staff, when we want to relay some information with staff or with the other commissioners, when is it appropriate to approach staff and who do you ask and when? So for this commission, Tram and Bianca do a great job putting together the agenda for you, reaching out to you and communicating with you. If you ever have any questions about the agenda for an upcoming meeting, it's best to reach out to Tram or Bianca prior to the meeting so that they can try to address your questions and we can come into the meeting with clear understanding of what's being presented. That way also too, if there is a question that might require some further research or some additional information might need to be gathered, that gives staff an opportunity to look into that, to be prepared to provide that information for you during the meeting. Also during the meetings, this commission does a very good job of this. We like to make sure that each individual commissioner speaks one at a time. We want to give everyone the opportunity to speak, provide their input. Don't want to talk over any other commissioners or try to speak again prior to any other commissioners having an opportunity to speak on an item. All members have equal rights to discuss items. And so we'd also like to refrain from any side discussions with fellow commissioners. That's obviously not as much of a concern while we're having meetings online. But when we do get back into the council chambers, when we're in a setting together there, it's best to make sure that all the commissioners are paying attention to whoever's speaking rather than being distracted by any other items or having conversations with other commissioners. Relationship with staff. So city staff may work with the commission, but they are accountable to the city manager. So I know that oftentimes we have commissioners who want the staff to put items on the agenda or want certain answers or want certain things to happen, but everyone needs to understand that staff reports to the city manager, and going back to the beginning of the presentation, city council and the city manager provide the direction for this commission. It's not within the commission's authority to tell staff to prepare an amendment to the code or how to approach an issue or how to process an application. Those recommendations should be shared with the council member who appointed you, or the commission can make a recommendation to city council. So again, everything comes from the city council down. So the city council provides the direction, provides the powers and authority for this commission. So if there's ever anything that the commission wants to see happen, wants to see granted to the commission, it needs to come from the city council. So it's best to take those requests and speak with your city council member about that and see if that's something that can be provided for. So relationship with the city council. The Arts and Culture Commission acts as in an advisory role. Advisory means that the commission makes recommendations to the city council, but you must understand that the city council has the final say. So you might make recommendations, might put together great plans and put it forward, but at the end of the day, it's the city council that will approve or adopt any of those recommendations. They may take the recommendation, they may not, but it's up to the city council to decide at the end of the day. Now changing gears a bit and getting into social media. This relates directly to the commissioners. The city of St. Anna has a prime interest and expectation in deciding what is, quote, spoken on behalf of the city on social media sites. You are personally responsible for the content you publish on any social media. And so you should not be posting any kind of obscenities, slurs, or personal attacks. Again, this goes back to you are a public official in this position. So your social media accounts and posts can be a representation of the city. So we ask that all commissioners act in a professional manner on social media, and understand that even if you have a personal account that you might try to distinguish from an account that is related to you as a commissioner, still anything that you put out there can come back to relate to you as a commissioner. I believe we have a question, Commissioner Russell.
Yes, this was on a previous slide in terms of the distinction between what the commission has ability to do and the city council. I'm curious in relation to the agenda items though. Can commission members recommend or propose agenda items to, let's say, TRAM via email, and then, or does that have to go through city council and then down?
No, thank you for that. That's a great question. To a distinguishing point there, general items that you want to put onto the council agenda. So I guess the distinction I was trying to make there is that you can certainly request those items and make recommendations to staff, but you can't, you're not going to be the one making the call that has to be put on the agenda. So staff can take those recommendations, and then we'll go back, check with the director or check with the city manager if necessary. And then that's the determination will be made on what items will be put onto the agenda at that point. So thanks for that clarification. Yeah, if it's one specific item that you want to put on an agenda, you don't need to go through city council for that.
One final question. When the commission members, let's say, form an ad hoc and decide they'd like to recommend something, is there a format for that recommendation that is advised?
So so looking ahead, if we have an ad hoc committee that puts together a presentation that it wants to bring back to the full commission, that is something that would be agendized as part of the ad hoc requirements.
But I mean, is there a specific format that is expected of commission members, like a memo or an outline of some kind that we should be aware of? And where would we find that?
You know, there's not an exact requirement of how that's put together. So that's something you can work with staff in terms of what would work best for the particular question or item that's coming from the ad hoc. Sometimes it might be a memo. Sometimes it might be, you know, a simple PowerPoint presentation. Other times it might be a formal document, you know, such as a recommended resolution or ordinance. It really depends on the question that's being studied by that ad hoc committee. And then you would need to work with staff in terms of determining what's the best way to bring that back to the full commission. And I do apologize. The way I have my screen set up, I did not see that you had a hand raised. And so if there's anyone else that has a question, please feel free to just kind of speak up and yell out. I will not be offended. So please ask away during the presentation.
So I actually have a question.
Yes.
Do we act as an advisory body as a whole to the city council, or do we act as individual advisors to our appointees?
That's a great question. Both, actually. So as a full arts and culture commission, you serve an advisory role to the city council, but then individually you are appointed as a commissioner in order to take updates back to the city council member that appointed you to make sure they're up to date on everything that is being done at the Arts and Culture Commission. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving into some of the Brown Act regulations. So first off, what is a meeting? A meeting is any gathering of a majority of the members to hear or discuss any item of city business or potential city business. So in the case of the Arts and Culture Commission, we have 7 commissioners. So a majority would be anytime 4 commissioners are getting together, that would be a quorum. That becomes a meeting, and that's when a notice, an agenda, a time for public comment is all required under the Brown Act. So unless a majority gathering falls into one of the Brown Act exceptions to the definition of meeting, it will be considered a meeting subject to the Brown Act. So as you can see now, it does not just mean face-to-face gatherings. It also includes any kind of communication medium or device through which a majority of the body discusses, deliberates, or takes action on a business item outside of a noticed meeting, including emails and texts. So the first part of that, we can see how today's meeting, we are all doing this online, but that still counts as a meeting, of course. But also the second part of this is referring to, you know, any kind of email communications that may go out between the commissioners. If you have a majority of the commissioners interacting on an email chain or social media or you know, any other form of communication, that could also be considered a meeting for Brown Act purposes, which could be a violation if that's not done with notice and agenda and everything. So it's best practice is to make sure you avoid kind of interacting with your other commissioners outside of these officially noticed meetings. So meetings are open and public. The Brown Act requires local government business to be conducted at open and public meetings. This applies to the governing body of a local agency, which is the city council, but also applies to any commission, committee, or board that's created by formal action of city council, which is the Arts and Culture Commission. However, this does not apply to ad hoc meetings with less than a quorum. So that can be applicable. You know, I know one of our other agenda items tonight is to discuss the formation of the Ad Hoc Committee. So that is one of the exceptions to the Brown Act open and public meeting requirement, in which an ad hoc committee for a specific purpose can be created as long as there's less than a quorum of the commissioners getting together to discuss an item, to come back for updates to the full commission. So in addition to the ad hoc committee, there's also standing committees. Standing committees, you'll see that the city council has some, currently has some standing committees. Those are basically continuing subject matters. So it's not a particular item that they're reviewing, but it'll be more things like the legislative committee. I apologize, I don't know what I just did there. There we go. So they will be items that don't necessarily have an end date in mind. They're just kind of smaller groups of the city council members that will get together when particular items come before that standing committee. Those meetings, standing committee meetings, will be subject to the Brown Act, even though there are less than a quorum of the committee members. Now, the ad hoc committee is similar, except that is for a specific task. So, looking ahead on our agenda tonight, the potential for an ad hoc committee regarding the art walk is one specific task that committee would be looking at. And so there's a finite time period that the committee would be working, and it's very limited in scope to that one particular item. The ad hoc committee dissolves upon completion of the task. And so because of that limited scope, because it's less than the quorum of the committee members, it is not subject to the Brown Act meeting requirements. Brown Act exceptions with respect to individual contacts. The Act does not apply to individual contacts between a member of the body and any other person, such as phone conversations, including staff, constituents, press, etc. But individual contacts cannot be used to do in stages what would be prohibited in one step. This is the concept of a serial meeting. So a couple of examples here. Serial meeting being, a couple different types. If, Commissioner A gets on the phone, talks with Commissioner B, about the item, then goes and talks to Commissioner C about the item, then talks to Commissioner D about that. All of a sudden, that first commissioner has spoken to a majority of the commission members, has an idea of what a majority of the commission members think about an item. That's considered a serial meeting, which would be a Brown Act violation. The other way that occurs is if Commissioner A talks to Commissioner B talks to Commissioner C talks to Commissioner D, and you have that chain. And now you have a majority of the commission members who have all kind of discussed an item, even if they weren't all at the same time or all together. But now a majority have spoken about it, and one or more of the commissioners will have an understanding of what the majority of the commission think of an item. And so again, that would be a serial meeting that's prohibited under the Brown Act. Best practice is to just avoid those kinds of communications altogether. Even if you're just thinking, hey, I'm just going to talk to one other commissioner about this to get an idea, that at that point you wouldn't have a serial meeting, but you don't know where it goes from there. So the best practice is just avoid it altogether. Save all your communication for these noticed meetings.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
The Brown Act, that's for all city, like the mayor, the city council, everybody's not allowed to talk to one another?
So it depends on the item. So if it's an item that's coming before the Arts and Culture Commission, then those same rules won't necessarily apply to the council members unless it was an item that would eventually make its way up to the city council. Then yes, the same rules would apply, that the city council members should not be discussing it as well if it's going to be making its way up onto their agenda. And it's, yes, the same Brown Act rules apply to city council as applied to all of the other commissions, as well as the Arts and Culture Commission.
So if we want to talk to one another, we have to convene a separate meeting that has to be organized and sanctioned to discuss an item, like say the budget. If we want to discuss that outside of or if say this funding that's coming down, that we've been discussing, we have to do that as a side meeting. And then who do we request that meeting with so that we actually can get that to happen?
Yeah, so if for example, the budget, if you wanted to kind of discuss that with all of the commissioners or a majority of the commissioners, that's something that should probably be agendized on one of your regular monthly meetings. And so you would need to reach out to staff and make that request. And then if that's something that they think would be beneficial and within the purview of the commission, then they'll put that on the agenda, and then that would be the time to discuss that item. Let's see. So getting into the problems with the, the problems with the serial meetings is that it deprives the public of an opportunity to observe and participate in the decision making. May occur either by a daisy chain or hub and spoke. Those are the examples that I talked about previously. But really, it's about making sure that we're being as transparent as possible. We want all the public to be able to participate in these conversations as well. And so if those conversations are happening outside of these noticed meetings, then the public doesn't get an opportunity to participate in that process, that thought process that's going on with the commissioners. So avoiding serial meetings, direct contacts about city business with fellow members are the clearest means by which a serial meeting can occur. So if one participant discloses the views of the other participants, or a third or fourth, serial meetings results. Best way to avoid is refrain from discussing agency business with a quorum of or sharing views of others with others outside of the meetings. So communications with staff and serial meetings. So members of the body may consult with city staff, and I believe this was the question you had here, with city staff outside of the meeting for questions or information about a matter. Staff and commissioners should be very careful not to disclose the comments or position of any other members, but having these communications with staff can facilitate a collective concurrence outside of a notice in open meeting and result in Bernal violations. So to sum that up, sorry, I kind of read that poorly, but essentially you can have communications with staff, and I don't mean to discourage that. Kind of as I've stated before, you can, if you have questions before a meeting, you can reach out to staff, but you do need to be careful to make sure, and staff, the same thing. We don't want to disclose what other commissioners may be thinking or talking about to other commissioners. So other Brown Act exceptions, seminars and conferences that are open to the public and of general interest, community meetings that are open and publicized, excuse me, meetings of other legislative bodies, such as the city council meetings, social or ceremonial occasions. So all of these are events or meetings that a majority of the arts and culture commissioners can attend without creating a Brown Act violation. The caveat to that is that if a majority is present at any of these events, you cannot discuss any of the items of city business with the other commissioners that are there with you. So really, if you're going to go to a city council meeting or any seminar or conference, it's best to just be kind of listening to what's going on there and not being an active participant, because then if we get too many active participants at those meetings, it could trigger, a violation for the Arts and Culture Commission, that there's 4 or 5 Arts and Culture Commissioners who are interacting at an outside meeting or event.
Excuse me.
Yes.
If we're at, say, a city council a meeting, and each council member wants to make a statement at those meetings, can we do that all? Can we all go up and make a statement if we'd like to when they have public comments? Or do we have to choose who is going to represent the commission? Or can everybody have a statement?
So if it is, if they're asking for a comment that is specifically within the purview of the Arts and Culture Commission, then it would be best for the chair to pick a representative for the Arts and Culture Commission to make that statement. If you are all there on completely separate item that is not within the purview of the Arts and Culture Commission, and you all just want to make your own personal public comments, about something that would never be in front of the Arts and Culture Commission, then that should not be an issue or a problem.
So if they have a meeting about the budget and we want to make comment on the budget, we have to get our chair to make a recommendation as to who would make that comment, instead of each one of us making a comment on behalf of ourselves as individuals and our position.
Yeah, I would be I would be concerned if each commissioner got up to talk about, you know, the arts and culture items in the budget and to make recommendations. I think it might work better if, you know, maybe there was a letter that was signed off by each commissioner, or maybe even if each commissioner wanted to kind of put their thoughts in writing and submit that individually, that could work better in that situation, rather than having you know, majority of the commission members talking on items that would be within the commission scope. So going back through the format for discussing agenda items. I'll go quickly through this because you know, the chair does a good job and you have a great script you know, for how to address these items. But the first step will be for the chair to announce the agenda item, clearly state the subject matter. Chair will then invite a presentation of the staff to report on the item, including any recommendations. The chair will then ask commissioners if they have any questions on the item for clarification. The chair will then invite public comment on the item. Public may be limited to 3 minutes for each speaker, as we've seen with our public comments in this meeting. And at the end of the public comments, the chair should announce that the public input has concluded. The chair will then invite a motion on the item and announce the name of the commissioners making the motion, as we've seen with you know, our consent calendar items tonight. Then the chair will invite a second to the motion and announce the names of the commissioner who seconded the item. After the motion is made and seconded, chair will repeat the motion and ask the maker of the motion or the commission secretary to repeat it. Chair then invites discussion of the motion. If lengthy discussion occurs, the chair should repeat the motion to make sure everyone understands. And then the chair will take a vote on the item. Typically, when we're all in the council chambers, it can be done through a general aye or no vote. However, when we are on Zoom meetings like this one, we do have to do roll call vote so that we understand how each commissioner is voting. Chair will then announce the results of the vote and what action, if any, the commission has taken. Now, this I'm going to go through this pretty quick. There's some real technical items about you know, what can be done during discussions if there's a motion on the floor, how to amend motions. This doesn't come up as much in this commission, but you know, I want to make sure everyone is you know, aware of, you know, what can happen during these meetings, or the different tools of how to address motions if necessary. And please remember that, you know, going forward, if you ever have questions about procedure or this process, you can always, you know, even in the middle of the meeting, please just ask me or refer to, you know, the best approach for handling these kinds of things, and we'll make sure that you're on the right path. But for amending motions, a member of the commission may amend a motion by saying, I move to amend the motion by, and then come up with basically a new motion. That amended motion will then need a second by another member. The amended motion is debatable unless the motion to be amended itself is not debatable. However, amended motion can always be amended as well. So this can continue to go on and on and on. A majority vote is needed on that amended motion. And the amended motion can always be reconsidered. Now, if you go through and there's an amended motion that fails, then it goes back to the original motion that is on the floor. There's also reconsidering motions. So a member may reconsider any action by saying, I move to reconsider the vote on. So this is after an item has been approved. One of the commissioners that voted in favor of that item can have a change of mind, or if new information becomes available, can then come back and say, I'd like to reconsider that motion based on some new information. Again, you need a second for the motion to reconsider the action. The reconsideration of a motion is debatable only if the main question has not been debated yet. So reconsideration of the motion may not be amended. Majority vote is needed, and reconsideration cannot be further reconsidered once that single motion for reconsideration has been made. So getting into public participation. The Brown Act requires two types of public comment periods. First, there's the general audience public comment, during which public may comment on any non-agenda item. So for example, in this meeting, that was the public comment that we heard at the beginning of the meeting from individuals who were making comments about items that weren't necessarily on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Then there will also be comments pertaining to specific agenda items, which must be heard prior to consideration of the item. So tonight's meeting, we don't have any of those items, but sometimes we'll have items where we will take public comment that's specific to that item before there is the deliberation by the commission and final vote on the matter. So discussion on non-agenda items, limited exceptions. So members may briefly respond to public comments or questions and provide a referral to staff or other resources. Members may ask questions for clarification. Members may report on own activities, and members may request staff to report back on a matter or issue. So essentially what this is saying is this gets into commissioner comments at the end of the meeting as well. So during that time, that's kind of the general comment period where the commission is allowed to make comments on items that are not agendized for that meeting. However, it's intended to be more of a notice or the opportunity for the commissioners to provide that information, but we can't get into too much back and forth discussion during that time, because if there's going to be any kind of discussion or questions and answers from staff, that item would need to be put on the agenda for a future meeting, or else you're going to get into an area where you may be violating the Brown Act. So I know we don't want to be too strict on this, because we definitely want to get the information to you, and staff can provide you with certain quick answers on certain things. So there will be a little more leeway on that, especially with this commission. But for the most part, we want to see those commissioner comments limited to just providing information so that we avoid any kind of back and forth discussion during that time. So courtesy and decorum, again, no issues with this commission at all. Everyone is doing a great job, letting everyone speak and being very professional to each other. But just to confirm, one person has the floor at a time. The chair will recognize each speaker. Discussion needs to focus on agenda items, not individual commissioners or personalities. And the chair does have the right to cut off discussion that gets too personal, too loud, or too rude. Again, not even an issue with this commission, but it is just something to note, just in case, I suppose. And maintaining civility in meetings. Do not attack or question the motives of other members. Try to limit any misunderstandings, get the facts, use fair process, listen with an open mind, and keep the discussion focused on the agenda item. So pointers and tip, real quick. Again, just don't engage in two-way dialogue with the audience. I know that's, again, this is more focused on city council, where there might be, it's a more opportunity, and they should avoid that. And we have a bit more of an informal commission where there can be some discussion with those who come to provide public comment, but we try to avoid that for purposes of making sure we don't get into discussion on non-agendized items. So we try to stay away from dialogue with the audience. Try to prepare in advance of the meetings by reviewing the agenda and the staff reports. And again, if you have any specific questions or concerns, do your best to contact staff in advance of the meeting so that they can prepare to address any of your questions at the meeting or provide any kind of clarifications as necessary. So thank you for your time on this. Please enjoy your time as a commissioner. And as you know, you provide a valuable service to city council staff and the community. So we thank you for all of your efforts. And
Ryan, can I ask
yes.
one more question? So when we're in a meeting, we have the public addressing us, and if they're asking a question, can we answer them and have that moment to talk with them? Or do we have to just tell them we can't talk to them and somehow relate our responses to them at another time? How do we do that?
Yeah, it's tricky. So in this, with the Arts and Culture Commission, again, it's a little less formal of a commission compared to like City Council. And so there is a little bit more of that dialogue that we do want to encourage. We want people to come out. We want you to have that ability to interact. We just need to be careful not to start in-depth discussions or dialogue on items that are not on the agenda, because that can be a Brown Act violation. So answering any kind of quick questions, providing some quick responses, I think is okay. If it starts to go too far, we need to cut it off and say, hey, this might be an item that we can consider for a future agenda, so that we can have a more robust conversation about it. And that will be on the chair and staff and myself to step in where necessary. If there's any kind of conversations that are kind of going into that area where it could be a problem.
But are we allowed to talk to the public? Are we allowed to go and meet with our wards and talk with the public and answer questions?
Yes, absolutely. So okay. I know that going back into the serial meeting conversation, it almost sounded as if you were just supposed to shut off and not talk to anyone. But no, it is absolutely encouraged for you to stay in communication with your ward and your constituents. You are the representative for them. So it is great for you to get the input from your community so that you can bring that perspective back and discuss that with the other commissioners during the meetings.
Right, thank you.
Absolutely. If there's no other questions, I'm done with my presentation.
I guess I do have one question.
Yes.
Is it possible for us to get that presentation?
Yes, absolutely. I think that Bianca has a copy of it, but if not, I will forward a copy of this to her and she can send that out to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Great,
I believe that was part of the agenda packet. But I can resend it to you.
No, you are right. I did not scroll down far enough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Chair, I believe you're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry about that. If we don't have any other questions, we're going to be moving forward to the next point on the agenda. And the next item is the second item on the presentations is the Arts and Culture Master Plan. And I figured that we could get into this and we could put our 1 minute on your thought process, and then we could move forward. And if that's the case, I'm going to put my first minute. If we're in agreement, are we in agreement? I don't see any.
Yes, I'm in agreement.
Agreement? Okay.
Yes.
I was forced. Yes. Okay. So we're going to move forward. I was forced to mission 5 years ago. And 5 years ago was when the master plan was on the table. I was fortunate enough to be one of the persons that sat down with the team from San Francisco individually to speak about the master plan. And so I was there 5 years ago. And maybe just for your information, I was told that if any of the person that could can you hear me? Sometimes my internet goes, okay? Can you hear me? Yes? Can you hear me? Am I muted? No, okay, can you hear me? Yes? Yes, okay. Okay.
I can hear you.
I was told, okay, I just want to make, because my communication in here is kind of bad, okay? But I was told that possibly I was the one who could take the master plan and move it forward, and not because of me, but partly because of my business education. Because basically you put it on the business plan and you put a time time and you put an investment initially and you put a timeline to accomplish the goals. And because that's the way I was trained. And with that said, you know, if I look at this as a business, I would say if I was looking to construct a business with our team here, I would be very selective using people that we could work with and move forward as a business, because I don't think you guys want to go bankrupt. And if that's the case, that means that it's our goal that we could work as a team, as a business team, if we look at it, as we look at the master plan. And yesterday I had the opportunity of speaking with the assistant to the city manager. And even from his view, he said, well, we're willing to fund, okay? But we want to make sure that we're going to have results from that funding. And I said, well, I would do the same. I'm not going to put money in the hands of somebody who can't give me results. And that means that if we're going to move forward to taking recommendations from the master plan, I'd say we move forward and selecting those items that could show that we as a team could accomplish them and get back and show the city manager that we can do that. And probably the strategic way of doing that is to move forward with asking them if they would put funds in our grant program, because that way it gives us the liberty of taking those funds and directing them in the places that we think we could have success. That means we do from the simple to the complex. We choose the easiest first with the funds that would be given to us, and we make it successful, because then we could come back and says, look, you gave us $5,000 and this is what we did because we gave it to a strategic partner. And when I say strategic partner, is that our responsibility is to find strategic partners. I mean, like Santa Ana Unified School District could be a strategic partner, and there's several out there that we could funnel the money into those organizations if and so we get results. So as I look at the master plan, I'm looking at it as getting funds for okay, our grants program. Then we could approach the master plan and direct it in a lot of aspects that it's speaking. And then we could put a strategic way of how we approach that. And then we approach our city council individually. We talk to our city council people. And yes, from what I heard right now, I think we should choose somebody to move forward and speak on the matter at city council meeting, indicating our intent. So I'll leave you with that thought process and we move forward with the master plan. Next. So anybody wants to speak up on the master plan?
I would like to speak on the master plan, if that's okay. I'll go ahead. I just wanted to say that I'm so happy that this is on the agenda. I was not part of the.
Hello, Madam Secretary, are you there? So.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here and I can hear you clearly.
Great. I was not part of the group that got together to craft the master plan, organize it, and submit this to the city. But I'm very impressed with how ambitious it is and how thorough they work to bring a foundation to the arts in Santa Ana. And I'm coming onto this commission, I was a little surprised that there hadn't been more things on the mission, the master plan that had been worked on and brought into to conclusion. But I find that it's because funding issues and monies being pulled from the arts have slowed things to basically a standstill. And although we have individual groups here in the city that are self-fundraising and are continuing to run their nonprofits and programs, and artists are continuing to work on their own to do outreach and education, and teachers are out there doing their part, community members and volunteers doing their part, the city has been somewhat frozen. And I do believe that the grant program, I've heard wonderful things about it. I heard how beneficial it was to artists, to communities, to the citizens of Santa Ana, and having that dry up and having those funds unavailable has been a real problem. So I think we do need to unify and decide what are the main goals and objectives in the master plan that we would like to focus on. We have a plan already, so we don't have to write that. It's been researched, it's been written. Now we have to pick as a group representing our community, what is the most important parts of this master plan so that we can start to get to work. And I want to see us make these choices together. And I'd like to see our community contributing to those choices, but I want to see us come down to maybe 3, and I've been told that that's appropriate, to pick 3 things that we want to start in on as a commission and get going on and get actually some resolution on for our city. I think that'll build a lot of community relations and people will come together with that. So I'm just hoping that, you know, as a group, we can look at those items. I've seen many things in that master plan that are essential. So I would like to, you know, work on that with each and every one of you. And I do think we do need other meetings where we get together and talk about these issues so that we're all organized and unified. I don't think being able to just sit here and give in our opinion is enough. I think we need to have like a workshop where we go through this together and we actually work on this. And if we were in a business, we'd be having business meetings and we'd have workshops and we would actually work through these problems together, and then we'd have goals and objectives and we'd meet them. So I just really feel like we need to do that. Also, I'd like to say that our community wants to see results. You know, they've heard about this master plan and they've heard about all the great things and they want to see results. And I think coming out of COVID, we need to give people something to look forward to, something to inspire our community. And I believe we have an opportunity right now to do that. And I hope, Frank, that you will help us to organize and help us to, you know, come together and have a statement to present to the City Council unified about what we'd like to do. And I'd like that leadership, and I'd like to follow that leadership and help to bring things together with all of you. So that's my thoughts on the master plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Do we have anybody else to speak up on the master plan?
Yes, I concur around the idea of workshopping or more meetings. So being someone working in a business, we don't want to have too many meetings. No, but I think one of the lines that really resonated with me from the master plan was that Santa Ana residents and stakeholders are skeptical that the city will really invest in these things that are important to them. These elements of the arts community and the historic, the traditional and contemporary events that are mentioned. And I think we have an obligation here to make sure that the city follows the requests of our residents and actually makes that investment so that these events and different initiatives have long-term sustainability.
Thank you, Deborah. Do we have anybody want to speak up on the master plan?
Jose, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, so I was reading through it, and kind of just, and I remember it being talked about in the past, when it's involved in different spaces and different folks were involved also in the creation of them. So I was looking at the 8 goals that it has in mind or that were proposed by the master plan. And a lot of them intersect and are really, kind of tied in together, almost to the point where they could have been less, just 4 overarching goals, but or 5, 6, whatever. But the ones that stood out to me was the goal number 2, which was to work collectively towards a robust infrastructure for the arts in Santa Ana, inclusive of city policy, staffing, and sustained funding. So, it goes again to the conversation we've been having here tonight, and we've been having about how can we fund that? Where does, how do we build that infrastructure? And so I think that's a major hurdle, and I think if nothing else in this happens, or hardly much happens without that component being figured out. So I'm really hopeful about the survey recently that came out around the CARES Act money. And if folks haven't read that, I definitely recommend that because, it's very clear that the community is very hungry for, for youth funding, for public health funding, and I think it comes around the context of what the pandemic did to our communities, and also what what creativity can do for our youth. So, for example, there's one of the guidelines where the city manager came out with a press release or a communication from the council or from the city office saying that for after school programs. So to me, that is an example of something that perhaps can be tied into some sort of funding for art programs for the youth and in the after school program. So that's one thing that kind of jumped out at me. But yeah, overall, I'm very interested in like we were mentioning, Frank and others, the ability for us to have a cohesive message to deliver to the council with our requests and suggestions around this. I know folks heard public comments make the suggestions that our commission needs funding, and so where that comes from the CARES Act fund, be interesting to see if there's any ability to do that. But even beyond that, looking at cannabis funding and figuring out if there's any way to plug that in to the to fund the arts and other sources of funding that could come out. So the other goal was support existing and create new opportunities for youth to engage in artistic and creative activities and career pathways. So as I mentioned in my earlier comment, just being able to develop that pathway to get youth and kids interested in the arts, to then plug them into art programs that the city is working with nonprofits or or whatnot, to then tie them into the career in that. I think are two very important, and I think goals that we can set ourselves to do. And we can just figure out the first one, I think then all these other ones would fall into place. So so I think it's a great plan, and the folks that were involved in it had some great ideas, but we a lot of times we get stuck in that, just a lot of great ideas and without a lot of follow through, and so I'm hoping that this commission, along with advocacy towards the council, will be able to make these a reality soon. Thank you.
Can I make a note, Jose? Are you there? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to inform you that, okay, just when it comes to funding, and it's good and bad, but I guess bad because it didn't happen to our city, but I was instrumental in having the city of Costa Mesa give 0.5% of all cannabis money to the arts. If you think what that value is, that maybe be on an annual base between $100,000 and $150,000. I kind of feel guilty because this is my city, okay? And I kind of feel if I did it there and I was influential, why can't we do it here, where we have a really robust cannabis business, and there's a huge cannabis store coming on Warner, the biggest one, 45,000 square feet. You tell me why we can't take a little piece of that and funnel it continuously into the arts. I don't see the logic of why we can't have that on a yearly basis, because I don't really like to beg. I don't know about you guys, but it should be a given that it should be placed on our table without having to beg. I'll leave you that to think. Any other comments?
Fernando, go ahead.
Sorry, couldn't find the unmute button. I kind of want to segue off of that. What Frank and Jose just brought up. I believe that's a great idea to get some sort of funding from cannabis businesses. But going back to the plan, I saw that it was approved in 2016, and specialists were hired to work on this plan in 2017. And there's 1 to 3 year goals, and like 4 to 7 goals, and 8 to 10 year goals. So I guess now we would be achieving our 1 to 3 year goals. I guess I was actually, it was more of a question. Where are we on the goals that we've accomplished, and what did, what are the notes on what we did accomplish? I couldn't find that anywhere on the master plan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but or point me in the right direction, but I couldn't find that at all.
The notes were in that first, I had sent you separately, the Arts Commission, not in the public. Did everybody else get the ones?
Oh, okay.
With the accomplishments?
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, a workshop would be a great idea. Just something that we can continuously just stay on track. Yeah, but this is pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Anybody else want to speak on Ad-Hoc?
Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you. So a couple of things just to add to what has been said. The school district actually has a strategic arts plan that can be intersected with the Arts and Culture Master Plan, which was done, an analysis was done of that. And to keep a strategic plan is as good as it is activated and implemented. So it was nice to see some of the things that we've had done. I'm looking at those initiatives that we have done and wondering how we could keep them ongoing. The funding that we're getting through the Revitalize Santa Ana appears to be temporary funding. So what is the sustainable funding, which is what I appreciate about what Frank and Josue were saying, to look at other sources, because the Arts and Culture office needs to be supported in a sustained way. Like, I think we should absolutely do everything we can to do a big jumpstart for all the artists and help us to recover from the pandemic. But what are the things that we need to do that can be sustainable? So one of the things I'd love to see about the Arts and Culture Master Plan is, how do we as a commission tell the story of what we're accomplishing? So how do can we do a social media thing? What the work we do in the school district around it is, we tell the story so that people know we're implementing the plan, and have an end of year recap. So is that something that we as a commission could be doing, and looking for the low hanging fruit that doesn't cost anything, that we could immediately say, look, we're making progress. This is an activated thing. And absolutely, I too was hopeful around the survey that we received and the support for the arts. And I think that we should continue the conversation and workshopping, because this takes a lot of time to unpack. And I think we do need to, there are things that are implemented between, 3 years, immediately 3 years and 10 years, or there were different timelines. So what could we be doing to say, what are the steps and what's our action plan? These are some things, but what are the concrete steps that we're doing to take toward those, 3 or 4 initiatives that we want to undertake, and say that we were successful as a team in making recommendations to our city council as well. So those were some of my thoughts in addition to what had been said.
Thank you, Robin. Go ahead, Indigo.
All right, thank you. I definitely agree with what everyone's been saying. I think we definitely need to work strategically and as a team in order to identify what our priorities are as this commission, in order to push forth and make actionable plans for what we want to achieve, and soon. I think residents of Santa Ana have been waiting for a long time for action. And I know that there's been quite a few accomplishments, and I'm not discounting that at all, but I want to continue this momentum of action so that we continue to develop and grow arts and culture within Santa Ana, which is already so rich and robust and amazing as it is. And I want to make sure that we integrate it into all parts of our city. In particular, I noticed that, and in particular, 2 things. I know that we speak a lot about the youth, and I know that there is quite a few ways in which arts and culture are integrated with SAUSD, but I speak partially as someone who grew up on the West End, and I was never a part of SAUSD. I was a part of GGUSD instead. Are there ways that we as a city can also collaborate with parts of GGUSD, and so that we have residents of Santa Ana who don't feel instead pulled to Garden Grove, pulled to Westminster, pulled to other cities to, especially as youth, if they get this messaging as youth, then what do they think as adults? What message do they pass on to their families instead also? How can we integrate with other school systems, not just SAUSD? And my second thing also as an advocate for like disability and accessibility, I think that there is something to be said about investing in youth, absolutely, but also making sure that we invest in accessibility for folks who didn't get that access when they were youth because there were not these programs around when they were youth. So how do we support also people who want to enter the arts in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? And how do we maintain that as well? And I think that's definitely something that we're all in agreement with, especially as we're talking about the sustainability and longevity of these programs. But those are just my main thoughts right now. And I know that we will have many more fruitful conversations about this in the future. I'm looking forward to it.
I can add.
Deborah, do you like to speak?
I just want to add one comment. I know we've been mentioning youth, as Indigo and Robin have shared, but I also want to mention families, because a lot of, Art Walk, for instance, has a lot of wonderful performances, and I have enjoyed them so much to see our youth on stage. But I noticed the families are on the sidelines and they're in sort of passive mode. And I think I would really be on board and would love to sort of think about, maker spaces has been mentioned, but ways that we can get families together, making things, creating things. I've been involved in a number of these efforts over the years in my involvement as a volunteer in Santa Ana. And I think this needs a place at the table and in the conversation as well.
Thank you, Andrea. And I'll talk to my council member who represents Ward 6 about doing events of this nature at one of our major parks on that ward. And I think it's an excellent place where we could do a lot of great things with families and art. Okay, we have a fantastic park, not just one, but several in different wards. So let's use them. Let's use them. Do we have any other comments on the master plan?
Can I make a quick comment, please?
Yes.
Go ahead, Andrea.
I would like to just mention too, that I know that when we talk publicly about art and artists, a lot of people can feel left out in that conversation. And I wanted to make sure that people understand that when we're talking about the arts, we're talking about inclusive, different art forms, but including all of them. So we're talking about, literary arts, which we have incredible organizations here in town doing work with literary arts that we need to support and we need to encourage. We also have our visual arts, of course, and we have designers, we have innovators, like you were talking about, makers, maker fair, maker things that are happening, where you're looking at the STEM program, science, innovation, and design, and also performance, music. So all the arts are included in this conversation, and there's many more that I haven't mentioned, but just so you know, we are thinking about every group and we want to make this happen for all. So I know we're probably all on the same page with that because we all love these various mediums. And so I don't want anybody to feel like they're being excluded when we just say artists. It's not just visual artists. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And do we have any other comments, just to give it a final note on my side? Yes, no? Okay. As a final note, I really like what I'm hearing from our commission, and I think it's definitely moving forward. I think we understand that funding is a fundamental aspect of what we have to do. I think we understand that if we recommend to our individual representative and we're able to move it forward, and we choose one of ourselves to move forward as city council to back what we're indicating on each individual basis, will have an effect. I like Robin's idea that we do create something in social media. As we accomplish something, we show it. I like the idea that we find strategic partners and we funnel our money that's going to be given us through the grant program to our strategic partners, and they in turn become partners in making success. And that would be a strategic way of moving forward without starting from ground zero. So with that in thought, I leave you and we move forward.
Frank, can I have one question, please? Is there a way that we can request a meeting where if they want to mic us or put us on video, whatever that might take, but to have a working meeting where we can actually discuss this matter further so that we can actually come up with a list of how we'd like to accomplish these things, and also pick a number. We need to get some numbers in the budget on what we need to accomplish these things, whether it be from the CARES money or from monies within our partnerships. Can we go ahead and make that recommendation to get together again?
If I may, Chair
Tamara?
Gutierrez, you can talk tonight if you'd like. This is your meeting, so you can discuss it, or the next month's meeting, or any of the month's meeting, you can discuss the budget.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to know what the priorities are from those that are involved with the master plan, and also what is the fiscal kind of the connection fiscally, like what are the numbers we're going to request? Because we need to make a request to our council members. We need to make a request to our, to represent our community. What are those numbers? And can we go and come to some sort of resolution about how we come to that number so that we can all be on the same page?
Deborah, I think from a business point of view, I think we ask how much are they willing to give us, okay? The worst thing is they give us a lot, or the best thing, or they give us too little. If it's too little, we're gonna ask them, what do you expect us to do with $10,000? We need more of a budget for a city of 310,000 population. And let's be realistic. So from a business mind, you ask first, you see what they give us, and then we make adjustments or strategic ways on how we obtain more. And definitely that would be a direction. I would position, and I would ask Tram, since we need a lot more study on the strategic aspects of this, is this something that we also take to the level of an ad hoc committee that would be dealt so we could systematically find out how we're going to approach this? Tram?
Yes, you can create an ad hoc committee to discuss priorities of the master plan.
I would make a motion at this point to position an ad hoc committee that would like to be and discuss the fine points of this, because it is definitely not only what we see, but for my conversation with the assistant city manager, they see it as it was $150,000 investment, okay, the city paid. And they're not gonna throw it out the window that easy. So that there's something to be done with this. So it merits the study and the planning. So I do make a motion that we make an ad hoc committee. And if that's appropriate, we will move forward, and then we could select that ad hoc committee at one point. Pram? Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, Robin has a second. Do we have a vote?
It was me, Andrew.
Can there be discussion about it before
I'd like
we
a
vote?
discussion, yeah.
Yes.
Because I'd like, is there another way that we can do it as an entire commission? Because I
love
think
that.
everybody would prefer to have a say. And I just, who are the three that get to do that when that is our job?
Right.
As a whole, to work together to figure it out, like a business team representing everyone. So I feel that having an ad hoc committee would exclude some of the thoughts and ideas. Maybe, I don't know, like how do we come to a process that we can identify the top things? Maybe that's what you're thinking for an ad hoc committee, but it feels like some of us are going to get left out, and that feels like we're supposed to be here to do
Right.
this. So, yeah.
And if I could make a request in that same, sorry, Josie, did you have your hand up first? Just looking at the document that was included in the packet, and sorry for not scrolling all the way through to see this, but I can see the 3-year plans, color coded, et cetera. But there's one, for instance, that says they wanted to have a 2% for the arts ordinance, and I'll be honest, I can't make sense of whether this has been proposed and is in the works or has been approved. And so I would really appreciate if staff could clarify for us, what are the goals that are in progress, which ones have been delayed or need to be advanced or need some kind of advocacy around, so that we actually can make progress together.
Thank you, Deborah. Robin, I agree. I wish I could run it like a business and I could have everybody on the board and we could all discuss it on the table. But I think due to the Brown Act, it's not going to permit us. So I don't know if there's a second strategy to that.
Chair,
Tran, you have-
Chair, this is Mark Morley,
Yeah.
Economic Development Manager. We could actually put it on the next agenda as a work study session, so everyone can go over the different implementation strategies. You know, you could take as long as you want discussing each one's, highlighting priorities, and then, you know, putting a funding mechanism to each one. I think we could do that at the next agenda if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, and then the public could make comments to inform us about what they might think would be priorities we should consider if they have time to review the plan between now and the next meeting.
Exactly. Thank you.
Can you clarify, does the public have access to this? Can this be shared with the public? Is there a place we can direct people who will want to see this and want to be able to comment?
Well, the master plan is on the full master plan is on our website. And the public was shared the documents in the agenda. So the goals, the summary of the goals were all included in the agenda.
So this being said, and the value and master plan merits this, we leave it for a study session for our next meeting. And because it does merit, I hope I'm still there. It does merit this kind of investment. So at this point, if we're in agreement, we table it and we move forward and we bring it up in our next meeting. Are we in agreement?
Can I ask a quick question? If we table this, are we going to miss an
Who am I
opportunity?
speaking with?
Oh, to Andrea. I'm asking a question, if we table this, are we going to be basically missing an opportunity to talk with the city about the CARES Act funds that are coming through? From what I gather, things are happening now with budget discussions. So should we be coming up with a number and coming up with a united kind of opinion right now, at least how much we're going to ask for from the CARES Act funds and also for ongoing funding for the arts?
Yeah.
Commissioner
if I could
Harris.
chime
Oh,
in.
sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, sorry, Commissioner. We could actually schedule a special meeting as well, if you guys are interested and available. You know,
Yes.
that would be scheduled before your next scheduled meeting. So that's something that could be on the table for you guys.
Yes, I would like that very much.
Yeah, yeah. I know that there are specific limits with the CARES Act funding, so that is something to keep in mind. You know, as far as so you know, I think we can get creative and in our ways that we can see if you know if we can tap into that. I think you know there's nothing stopping us individually from talking with our council members and then you know talking to city staff you know to get some further clarification about some things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next month's meeting where we can kind of you know take another crack at this, and if there's a special meeting in particular that you know we can have to you know to get some clarity on some of these things, I think that would also help.
In the Revive Santa Ana document that I saw, over 40% of people made comment that the arts were important to them and they thought it was part of the revitalization for the city. And I've already made comment to my council member that I believe that we should be asking for $1 million or more to support the arts with the CARES Act, because I believe we have the artists, we have the community, we have a master plan, we have the accountability to make something incredible happen with those funds. And so I really feel that's important. Also, I've made the same comment about ongoing funding, that I think we should have a minimum of $100,000 a year for the arts in Santa Ana. And that is a very, very small amount for what the needs are in the city. And I really feel like we need to have this meeting as soon as possible and come up with a number and a united front so that we can present that to all our council members and to our mayor, and you know stand behind what the people have said in the Revive Santa Ana plan, which is that they do want to see the arts supported, and they do want to see us make a difference. So I'd like to have that happen.
So if we were to say, if we could make something happen from a conversation that could lead into funds, is that because of the, you know, the Revive Santa Ana, and we forward with, recommending to our council people that we should be able to get some piece for the arts. And the only way I saw it, because I read it, is that it would move into the direction of moving it for programs that would help youth in arts. Something is better than nothing, but I think it's that, they already are distributing the 75 million bucks. So if we could strategically move forward without having to wait, why wait? Because money will get moved out real fast. And it's kind of like I leave you the responsibility, everybody on this table, to say, let's move forward and talk to your representative and ask them if we are going to get a piece of the pie as funding, because it does come down to funding. And if it, it says, where are you going to put it? Well, put it in our grant program, and then we'll find the organization. We'll work with a kids program for now. Okay.
So could I get a clarification? Are we saying we need to come up with a recommendation for the city council and to our individual council members? And they would like to see what our thoughts are and how we distribute, how we think the funds should be distributed. So, and what I heard you say, Frank, is the granting is a way that we could do a lot of things. It grants for seniors, grants for neighborhood associations, grants for all kinds of, I had a whole list here. Investing in the artists, the mural restorations, all of those could be ways of catalysts for activating the various things to jumpstart our community. And then we're also looking at sustainable funding as we could study the whole plan, because we might do some things in initiative with the money that's coming for the city big time, and then look at what the sustainable thing, because I think this master plan, we have to keep coming back to and back to and back to. It's our guiding light, if you will. It's our North Star. So how do we work toward those and developing some action plans and prioritizing on what goals we want, and then making an actions plan in each, how we're going to do that. And some of the things that were provided in this did say they were completed, and some do say they're ongoing. But like Deborah said, I was wondering about that initiative about the 2%, because it said that sorry, I lost my place. But it said that the city manager had to approve it. And I was wondering if the commission has to make a recommendation to the city manager to move it forward. Like, is that part of something we could do? That's a no cost, easy thing, but what would be the process to do something to reactivate it and initiate that whole process?
Robin, I think you did read it right. And I hope everybody understands that if we could direct monies into our grant programs, it gives us a lot of liberty. But then it's our challenge that we put that money where it's going to be successful, because then we have to come back and show that we did something. But for right now, we could attack it in that manner and hope we could get some money from, the revived program. That would be a plan of attack, and that would be a successful if we could get something going. And in the process, either we have to build an ad hoc committee or we don't, so we could refine our, our how we're going to approach the master plan. But if anything from this conversation, everybody has to be on the same wave on how we're going to be able to get some money from that for the program. And so I think as we leave our conversation on this, is that I hope everybody recommends that to everybody. And our next meeting, council meeting, okay? All right, is this coming up? When is our next council meeting with the city council? Even though it's on Zoom.
The next meeting is June 1st.
We should have June 1st, okay. Somebody has to come up and speak up in public comment on behalf of our committee and say that we are, we are in the process of working with the people who have suffered from COVID, and we're requesting funds for a grant program so we could partner. So that's something that if somebody wants to volunteer and make the presentation, I think that's strategic.
Commissioner Gutierrez, at this week's council meeting, they actually adjourned to a special meeting that is currently being scheduled potentially for next week. So Tram can send everyone information on the special meeting. That council meeting will be solely discussing the city budget and the American Rescue Plan funding. So I think it's going to be next week, but they haven't confirmed yet.
I was wondering if we could just get some clarification. I think we're all in agreement that we need to make to our appointees and that we need to move forward in making sure that we get funding. I think that we're starting to talk in circles a little bit, and I think it needs to be clarified. Are we going to discuss this right now? Or did we want to push it to a special meeting? And also, I was wondering, because it is listed on our agenda as a presentation, is there an actual presentation that's coming from city staff on this, or has that already been shared through the pages on the goals?
I had prepared a presentation on some significant goals, but it's up to you, commissioners. It's okay if you want to use this time to discuss priorities, which is more important for you, as time is limited.
What are your recommendations that you've come to that you were going to share with us?
Oh, not recommendations, just our accomplishments.
Your accomplishments.
Yeah, through the goals.
And
is all.
Can that be sent to us, like the list of accomplishments?
That was already sent in the, remember when I sent you all the summary of the goals?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in the blue on the side.
Yes, green on the side, yes.
The green on the side.
Yeah, but I was just going to do presentations with images, and I was just going to pick out, the more significant ones. So
is this shared on your website, on the website, or through any site for the public so they can see this as well?
We could do that.
Because I would really like them to have this so they can see the successes you guys have accomplished. That would be great. Yeah. Is it so possible? I was going to say, is it possible we can come up with some things that we would like to address with the council, and also a number that we would like to bring forward?
Yes, I think you can discuss the master plan.
Who wants to speak?
So yeah, so I think I liked, Andrea, your your numbers, that you put forward. So I mean, I'm in agreement with having you, perhaps speak at this special meeting, and kind of, speak, on behalf of us and say that, these are the kind of things that we're talking about, and this is the numbers that we're shooting for. Because yeah, I think why we're having this long conversation now is because, yeah, time is of the essence, and they are going to be making some decisions on this, or have some sort of discussion on it. So we can't afford to wait a month if they are already going to be moving on these things, and they are. So yeah, for clarity purposes, but also for lobbying for the funding for our commission, I think it's in our best interest to kind of all come to an agreement right now. For the person that will speak on our behalf, and also the different numbers as far as the amount of money, but also I don't know, any other kind of suggestions that this commission would like to give for Andrea.
Yeah, I would love to do it.
Okay, I just want to insert, that if that's going to be the presentation, we must understand that the vehicle is going to be to our grant program. And if I don't know, I just want to refine the meeting and the way we're going to approach it. And if somebody's going to speak on it, I want to make sure that all of us speak to our representatives before that meeting. Okay, so when Andrea goes up, everybody knows about it.
Yes.
And knows about how we're going to do it. So it's pre-planned. It's not going to out of the sky. It's not going to happen. But as a committee, if we're in agreement that Andrea will represent us, in the next meeting, and she's willing to do it, I don't know. We have to take a vote as a commission to decide on that, or it goes on the whim. Ram?
Before we move forward, I'd like to recognize that Commissioner Olivares has had his hand raised for probably about 7 minutes now, and so I'd like to give him the floor to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just didn't want to. I'm right here. Thank you for that. No, yeah, I agree. We should. And I do apologize. I did find the timelines with the same plan with timelines goals met, but I still couldn't see where we are with those that are with the ones that we haven't met. What actions have been taken, and where we're at with those. So yeah, I really want to move forward with finding out, just discussing more on how we're gonna accomplish these goals moving forward. And if we are gonna take a vote, yes, I think that's a good idea, taking a vote to have Andrea speak for us.
Okay, do we want to take a vote just so it's politically correct? I'll say Ward 1. You agree? Yes? No?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Do we have to make a motion at all?
Oh, okay. Do we have to make a motion? Tram?
Ryan?
Do we have to make a
No.
Ryan question.
Ryan?
This is not a formal item that requires a motion. So you're more of taking a poll of the commissioners at this point. So a formal motion is not required.
Okay, I guess that's a good understanding that if it's not on the agenda, we don't have to do a formal motion, but if it is, we have to. But okay, Ward number 2, do you agree to having Robin represent us? Yes. Hello.
Andrea.
I'm sorry, man. Oh, that's okay. Ward 3. Yes. Ward 4.
I agree to having Andrea represent us.
Right. Ward 5.
I agree to have Andrea represent us, yes.
Fernando. That was you, huh? Okay.
Yeah, that was me.
Josue. You agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Of course, I agree. So I think we're moving forward. Andrea, you tell us if you're gonna need something else for that presentation, okay?
I will, and
You there?
I would like to go. I would like to go after the numbers I've just stated to all of you. I've actually looked at the Revive Santa Ana. I looked at all the numbers. I actually, when I got that survey, I knew from the get-go that we would have numbers that supported the arts in Santa Ana, and we have those there. And I do believe that at least a minimum of $1 million of the CARES Act funds to go towards our grant, our program, our art program, and our master plan, and the things we can do with the community. I think it's very fair. And I actually threw that number out to my council member, and he nodded at me and he agreed the arts are that important. And so I think we should at least go for it, and we should bring that forward for our community. And I think that it's going to serve everybody well. And also I am going to bring up an additional ongoing funding. So I would like your support on both those things.
Thank you. And we can always shoot for the sky. Okay.
That's right. We can always, you're a businessman. We can always negotiate, right?
Right. We negotiate. Exactly.
That's
okay.
right.
So we did want to finalize. We are going to end up having an ad hoc or something of that nature just to finalize. We're tabling it right now for this meeting, but it's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting about the possibility of how we're going to attack the master plan and put it in perspective. Okay. Thank you. And we're going to move forward on our agenda.
One last, but aren't we going to ask for a special meeting to talk about it between now and 1 month from now?
Can we have a special
I think
meeting?
the special meeting was for the council that they were going to have, right?
Oh,
But
I
no, you're
thought
saying that we should have a
I
special
thought that
meeting for
Mr. Morley
ourselves?
was saying we could have our own special meeting
You
as
could.
long as it's agendized and it can
Yes.
be in addition to our regular meeting. So I was hoping we could have another meeting sooner rather than later, because we're going to be talking mid-June.
What would be the?
And I think that it should be a work study session so that we can talk and ask as many questions as needed. So we can get on board and in alignment with one another.
I agree. And if that's the case, let's put the strategy about that meeting, when, how, and where. Fran?
Yes, do you want, so we can set a special meeting. It just needs at least 72 hours to post for the public, because, you know, it'll be a public meeting. So you can set the date if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great. What are you guys available?
Does it have to be on a Thursday or a special day of the week?
May I cut in the recent, I am the recording secretary for other meetings. And so in order for me to be present at the meeting, I need to look at the calendar to see when the other meetings are. If all are in agree, I can set dates and times tomorrow. So that way we all have the same, to make sure that it doesn't conflict with any other meetings. Is that okay? If I send an email tomorrow to everybody?
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Bianca, I think that's the appropriate way. We move forward, okay? So we're gonna receive some information and then we're gonna take a decision from there. Thank
Yes,
you.
I will send an
We
email
move forward
tomorrow.
with our
Thank you.
meeting. Okay. On our next. Thank you. So we are done with our presentations. As of now, we are going to move to our following aspect of our meeting. We will now consider matters under the business calendar, okay? And that basically comes down to the first item on the business calendar is appoint an ad hoc committee for Art Walk. Is everybody there? Hello?
Yes, we're here.
We're here.
Is everybody there?
Yep.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to ask is who is interested in being in this ad hoc committee? And could you tell me who is interested before I take a decision?
Deborah is interested.
Who?
I'm also interested.
Deborah.
Deborah, let me see, Deborah Russell.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was Deborah Russell. Who else?
I think Fernando.
Jose?
Did I lose you guys? Okay, who else do we have? Okay, Fernando.
Jose
you
Hernandez.
interested?
Is
Jose is interested. Who else?
is there other ad hoc committees right now that are already in play?
Yes.
There's a
There's
mural
the
one.
mural guideline.
Right
Okay.
now, there's only
I'm
one
not
ad
on the
hoc
mural.
committee.
I'm not on the mural guidelines, and so I'd like to be on something to help. So I would like it as well.
I'd also like to be on the Art Walk committee as well.
Great.
Okay, Indigo.
But I know
Who
that we
else?
have less than quorum, so we need to only appoint 3.
Who else is interested in this particular ad hoc committee?
So far, how many people do we have?
I have Deborah Russell,
I need-
Fernando Olivares, Jose Hernandez, and Indigo Wu are the ones that are interested on this ad hoc committee.
I also was interested.
On Andrea, on this
Who
specific
else?
ad hoc committee.
Who else is interested?
How many people can we have?
Three.
Right. So I'm interested too, but I'm going to defer to others if yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Is this my final tally? I have
There's 5
Deborah
already interested.
So I have there 4 or 5.
Can I ask a
Am
quick
I losing you
question?
guys?
Can I
Who
ask
is
a
this?
question? Andrea, can I ask a
Who is that?
question? I wanted to know,
Who's asking the
Andrea, are there going to be community members that are a part of this committee? Are we going to include community members? It's only going to be commission members.
Only commission members.
Okay. So I will defer
As an
to
ad hoc,
another
only commission
council member.
members.
I will defer to another council member, I mean, a commission member. But as long as I know that you guys are going to be communicating with the citizens that are interested, we've had a lot of people talk on this in our meetings. And so as long as you guys are going to be taking care to reach out to them and they get a voice in this, because it's a lot of turmoil on the streets of Santa Ana when it comes to Art Walk. And I'd like to see that, resolved so we're in a better standing with everybody.
And real quick, as a
Okay,
point of
so-
clarification in terms of ad hoc committees, the intent is for the ad hoc committee to be formed with less than a quorum, so 3 or less. And the purpose is for them to research an item, look into it, and bring it back to the full commission.
Oh, great.
So this is something that, if an ad hoc committee is appointed, they can have their meetings and do their research without having to follow the Brown Act meeting requirements. But then the intent is for them to bring the item and their findings and recommendations back to the full commission for a meeting and discussion.
And I have a question regarding that. It's a little bit of an email question, but also a research question. If, for instance, as a committee, ad hoc committee, the members decided they needed some information, would you advise that they then email together to a representative for the city or an organization they need information from, or should that all be done separately? Like, how do we ensure that all members of the committee have the same information to operate on.
Well, I can say that, you know, the most important part is that the committee members who are selected for the ad hoc committee, it has to just remain with those 3 commissioners. So you can't reach out to any of the other commissioners. So any of the other 4 who are not on the committee need to make sure that they do not participate in any way, do not reach out and contact the ad hoc committee members. Those 4 additional commissioners will be able to participate and discuss when it comes back to the full commission. So for those 3 commissioners that are part of the ad hoc committee, you can reach out to staff, you can reach out to other individuals if you need additional information, you know, create meetings with them to discuss any of the points that you need to discuss. There's more leeway there for you to gather the information that you need, and then you know, put your findings together and bring it back to the full commission, and then that's when all 7 of the commissioners can participate and interact and ask questions.
Thank you.
Who is on the mural committee? The mural group. Who in our group is on that? Do we know?
It's myself, Frank, and Josue.
Okay, and so who wants to be on this group for the art walk? So we have 2 people.
I'm interested, but I can defer to somebody else if somebody's interested.
Oh, no.
Could you defer to me since I'm not on any of the groups yet?
Okay. So
yes, I can.
Let's remind him that it's my decision.
Oh, okay. Excuse me, Chair.
Can you hear me? I'm cutting off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
hear you.
Are you there?
Yes.
Pram, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so with that said, it's
Yes.
my decision as chairperson to go ahead. So I'm positioning Andrea to be on this particular commission. I'm positioning Indigo, and
We lost him.
Climactic.
I know the suspense.
Exactly.
We can't hear you, Frank.
my Washington Square communication, okay?
I'm going to put a poll right in your neighborhood.
Okay, so Josue, Indigo, and Andrea will sit on this commission as of now. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, are we clear? Did you understand what I said?
For clarification, you said Andrea Harris, Indigo Vu, and Jose Hernandez? Frank, can you hear us?
He's stuck again.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about my communication there, okay? Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
You know,
Can you hear me?
Deborah wanted to make a statement.
Okay, so just
you know, I just wanted to comment that this has been very important to me, and I've been in contact with many of the members of the artist community about this issue. I feel very passionate about it, and I'm just curious if you would share why, you know, as this is something that I brought up in the last 2 meetings, if there's some insight you can share with us as to why I'm not included.
So, are you asking me the question?
Yes.
Fran, my communication is really bad. That's why it goes.
I
Are you
also
there?
asked, yes, I also asked because you have mixed our names up tonight quite a few times, and I just want to make sure
Okay,
that
can you hear me?
yes. Maybe you should go audio only. Would that maybe possibly help the situation? I hope that's okay.
His audio is turned off now.
Unique situation.
I'm sorry about that, but that's my life on Washington Square. But,
Would you like me to repeat the question?
so the decision has been placed, and just like forward. Who was asking the question?
I am Deborah, and I'm asking because you have mixed our names up quite a few times tonight, and I just want to request some further information as to the decision, because this is a very important issue to me, to the community I represent, to the constituents I've been in contact with. It's something I've raised in the last 2 meetings, and I feel uniquely positioned to offer insight on this matter.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's stuck.
Tram, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Maybe can he call in?
That's my life here.
Yeah, maybe if the issue keeps on happening, Frank, maybe you can call in instead of using the audio on your computer. I think that might help for the future. That's how I'm on the call.
Did you get that, Frank? Maybe use your phone to call in the number in that email that Bianca sent you. And then you could still be on video, but you would mute yourself on video and then talk through your phone.
Jose?
Are you Tram?
Oh, we're getting him again. Jose, can I ask you a question? Is it Jose, or how do you pronounce it properly?
Yep.
Okay. Since you are on 2 of the ad hoc committees, would you be willing to
I'm on
switch?
1.
Oh, you are only on 1. Oh, I thought you were on the mural one as well.
From my understanding, that's the only one. I'm not. I'd like to to allow Frank as chair to be the one that makes the decisions, and folks are free to defer or not defer, but I feel equally passionate about this topic and been following it for quite a number of years. I was just wondering
if maybe you would switch with me and I could go on to the mural project, and then that way Deborah could be with you on the art walk.
If that's okay with the chair and with staff, then I'm willing to do that.
That'd be great.
Thank you for that problem solving.
Yeah, then we all get to serve, and also I'm currently working on the mural mapping project, and so that makes sense for me to be with the murals and to talk with Frank and with Fernando and work with them.
Perfect.
Okay, I called Frank and asked him to call in, so hopefully he'll do that.
That'd be great.
Leave his video on. Yeah.
Can we ask, while we're waiting on this, is there a plan for having committee meetings or commission meetings back in person?
I hope so. Yeah.
But more things are opening up every day.
Yeah.
There's no vision for if it would be in 3 months or a month, or
I don't know. That I'm waiting for that direction myself.
I texted Frank the number and meeting ID in case. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So it's easy access to the number and all that.
To your question about the live meetings, it seems like, June 15th seems to be a target date for the mask requirement to go, and maybe more in-person meetings. But yeah, we don't have any full clarity on when we can meet in person yet.
Right.
From my understanding, the city council meetings have not yet made a decision yet to go live yet either. There were comments in the past couple of meetings, but until they make the decision to move forward at least with their mission and meetings first. It wouldn't get passed on to our commission meetings yet.
Maybe an exception could be made.
Oh, there he is. He's on the phone.
He'll have to join the meeting though via his phone number, right?
Tram, is he calling you?
No, not that I know of. Bianca, are you hearing him call in or anything, Bianca?
No, I do not.
So he's having a.
The school district provided hotspots to students in need, I believe. And I wonder, does the city have a similar program for commission members or members of city organizations who are in need as well during the pandemic?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can find out.
All of Washington Square, we have to get them hotspots.
For the record, I live in Washington Square and I've never had this kind of issue. Sorry.
I have 2 family members there and they also don't seem to have any issues with online learning, but maybe it's the provider.
He's calling in now.
Who's going to tell them?
I think his phone is muted still.
How do you unmute from a phone? You hit star, what, 67 or what was it?
Either star 6 or star 9.
Star 69?
It's either star 6 or star 9.
Oh, star 6 or star 9. Frank, if you can hear us, text star 6 or star 9 on your phone to unmute yourself.
Fernando has his hand up. I don't know if that's, but I'm also.
Yeah, I'll reserve my question until Frank comes back on.
Fernando, can you text Frank and ask him to hit star 6 or star 9, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Also, Ryan, I don't know, could clarify, does Robin have any ability as vice chair to move an item forward or something like this forward in the absence of the chair?
Yes, when the chair is not available, the vice chair can take over and run the meeting. We are at a point though where the chair is the only one who has the authority to appoint ad hoc. committee members. So he kind of has to be the one to make the decision there. If you want to move forward, if he's not able to rejoin the meeting, we could move forward but I think this is the last item on our agenda, but we, could come back to this, at a future meeting. But otherwise, if you want to have the ad hoc committee set now, it needs to be done by the chair.
I just Googled it, and *9 is to raise your hand. *6 is to mute or unmute.
There we go.
Hello. Are you there? Amen.
You're gonna have to unmute the video.
Yeah.
Or mute
just
the
kill
video.
okay? Mute are you there?
Your audio on your computer.
Oh my gosh. Hey, let me kill this thing. Are you there?
Hey, all right.
Amen. Okay, so we're just gonna do it by phone. You might not be able to see me, but we'll do it by phone.
Okay, it's perfect, Frank.
Okay, sorry about that. Just here in Washington Square, that's a life. Okay,
I
so
had a
my decision has been. Tell me.
I had a question. I just wanted to know, for those who are on the committee, the artwork is important to me as an artist.
Yes.
So I wanted to see if those on that committee could share their vision and their goals with us, if possible.
But I don't think
we could do.
I still
Tram,
think.
Is that you, Tram?
Yes. What? I'm sorry.
What is the question, Fernando? What is the question?
If those those on that committee can share their visions and their goals for the art walk with us, please.
Yeah,
as of this moment,
I'd like
briefly.
to, but before that, if we could just clarify that, what I'm not sure that Frankie might have heard, but Commissioner Harris suggested that her and I switch so that she would be on the mural committee, ad hoc, and then I would serve on the art walk one.
So, so you're already part. I mean, I'm selecting you to be part of the art walk. Okay, I mean, you're part of that.
Yeah.
And Frank,
Okay.
if I can
So,
share, when you disconnected, I was asking a question, and I don't know if you want me to reiterate, but I was just curious for some insight around, I've expressed passion about this for the last 2 meetings. I've raised the importance of it. I'm very in touch with community members who are concerned about this, as Fernando has shared, and I feel uniquely positioned in a way to serve on this committee or commission, ad hoc. And I just like some explanation.
well, I think when you have somebody who's been in business 30 years in business, and maybe I've been involved in Santa Ana, yes, because I live here, but you have to understand that I do business a lot on the let's say on the south part of this county. So my vision and my views might not be exactly the same as people who've been around Santa Ana forever, but you have to understand that I've been in the business of art all the way down to the highest levels of New York, San Francisco, Mexico City, and I could keep going. Okay, I know what it is to deal with thousands of dollars of transactions and having the responsibility of framing for museums. So I feel, and I deal with diversity because I've been chairperson to committees that are very diverse. Okay, so if it comes down to experience and knowledge, and I'm taking a decision, let's say, I think we have a good group of people. Everybody on this group, I think, is knowledgeable, and I think we have to come to a consensus. And we don't have our way, we work with the rest of us to make the best way.
If I can add one more detail, when you were disconnected, Andrea expressed an interest in, Commissioner Harris, in joining the mural ad hoc because of her work on the mural mapping project. And she felt like she was uniquely positioned to replace Jose on that committee or commission, ad hoc. And again, I would just like to reiterate, I definitely understand your expertise in the field of business and in the art world. This is a very important issue. It's part of the reason why I wanted to serve on such a committee for the city, and I would like some extra consideration, as this is an issue I've raised in both the last two meetings.
Well, the Ad Hoc Committee with the public art, we're already at 95%. At this point, I feel that we'll finish it off with the people, Fernando and Jose and myself, at this point, and we won't fiddle around with it anymore. And with this subcommittee, well, I think we have. I think in Indigo we have a really interesting component. I think with Andrea, we have a very interesting component as a gallery owner and somebody who has a stake that's definitely into the arts in the middle of Santa Ana. So I feel confident that we have a good team of people.
If I can contest, though, that would mean Jose is on 2 ad hoc committees, and I don't mean to dispute his role in the process, but it's not a sort of a fair distribution of committee members or commission members on such.
Well, if we weren't at 95%, I would say yes, but we're at 95% at this point. So I'd like to finish it off with what we have. We have one more meeting maybe, and that's about it. And we move forward with our recommendation. Fernando is writing it up as of today, as he is writing up our recommendations now. So that said, we move forward. Tram, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, that's the decision. Okay, our next agenda item. Are we ready?
Excuse me, Chair Gutierrez, for clarification and for the minutes, we keep going back and forth, and I don't have clear. It's Jose Hernandez, Indigo Vu, and who is the third person? Yeah, Jose, and who is the third person in the ad hoc committee?
Andrea Ho.
Andrea Harris?
Harris, I'm sorry. Yeah, Harris.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
from Ward 2. Okay, we're on.
And since it's a business calendar, would you have to take a motion to approve?
Yes, we do. Okay, so we're going to go to, it says, will staff report on the matter, okay? All right. And our next point is, does the commission have any questions for staff? I think the questions have been posed already as it is. Am I in agreement with everybody?
Can I have one
Okay.
staff?
Okay, who is this? I'm on the phone.
One comment. I just wanted to thank staff for adding more agenda items for this meeting. I really feel optimistic. Thank you guys for pushing forward with that and for giving us more to discuss. I think we got a lot done tonight, and I really appreciate you guys adding to it. I hope the next meetings will be as dense and that we'll be able to accomplish a lot more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. I think we have a good team. Okay. That said, do we have a motion to approve item 5, appoint the ad hoc committee for Art Walk? Does anyone second the motion? Do we have a second?
So who motion and who will second, please?
Do we have a motion?
I would like to say that I would actually like to give my position to Deborah Russell, because I really feel that she would do an excellent job. And I will be here as part of the commission to support our adjunct committee and ad hoc committee. And so I would like to make that motion.
Well, it's my decision about who gets on this commission, and I've selected you. I don't know if that's possible.
It's possible
Tram?
if you're not going to move to allowing Deborah, I will serve, but I would really like to give her an opportunity as well.
Ryan, what are the rules on?
Pursuant to the bylaws, the chair selects the ad hoc committee and the members, but certainly if a commissioner does not want to participate in that ad hoc committee, the chair cannot force that person to participate. So typically it's, there's mutual concurrence. Even though the chair does have the authority for the ultimate decision, you need mutual concurrence to serve on an ad hoc committee.
Andrea, you're gonna stay.
I'm going to give it to Deborah.
You're gonna give, Tram, is that something we could do?
Yeah, I think Ryan just went over how, you know, if the commissioner doesn't
she
want to
doesn't-
serve, yeah, then you can't really force her to serve. And it's because, you know, whoever's willing to be on it.
Okay, if that's the case, I can't force somebody, okay? You know that, okay? And I would put on the question, does anybody else want to be on this ad hoc if Deb doesn't want to be on it? I mean, I'm sorry, not Deborah, but okay. If Andrea doesn't want, is anybody out there want to be on this? Fernando? Hello?
Yeah, no, it's okay. I feel that Deborah should be on the on this.
Okay, I mean, that's, you know, I respect. Robin?
I respectfully defer to Commissioner Russell to serve in that opportunity.
You respect it?
Yes.
You respect it, okay? Well, I am a man of consensus, okay? I have no issue with anybody, and I follow the lead with the team. If that's where the team wants to go, we move forward, okay? That's mine. We have no hard feelings. We move where the team goes. Deborah, are we in agreement?
Yes.
Okay, we're a team. You agree?
Mhm.
Okay, we're looking at the best for everybody, not me, you, or anybody else, okay? All right, with that said, then Deborah stays on this ad hoc committee. Okay, so
I
we're
motion to approve.
Who is this?
Thank you, Jose.
Jose?
Jose? Okay, Jose, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank
That's
you, Robin.
Okay. All righty, so we're done with this?
I
And
need to
we're
take
moving
a,
to comments.
I need to take a roll call to
Oh, vote.
approve the
Let's
minutes.
take a vote. Let's take a vote. Okay.
Yes, I need to take roll call. Fran Gutierrez,
Yes.
Robin McNair,
Yes.
Fernando Olivares,
Yes.
Jose Hernandez,
Yes.
Deborah Russell,
Yes.
Indigo Vu,
Yes.
Andrea Harris.
Yes, here.
Thank you. We'll pass. And now we can move forward.
Okay, comments, okay, staff member comments. Does staff have any comments they want to share with the commission?
Yes, I just wanted to remind everybody, I already sent out an email and a public email to everybody. But that the deadline for the fitness court mural is coming up. It is the 28th, which is next Friday. Please have people submit as many as possible because they will be selecting 8 designs. So that's a lot at $5,000 each. So I wouldn't want any of our great artists to miss out on it. Yeah, and if people want to partner up with a local artist and make it an artist team, that's okay too, as long as they involve a local artist. That's all the comments I have for now.
Okay, any other comments? No, okay. All right, does the commission have any comments they wish to share? Commission members, please note that no member may speak more than once until all have had an opportunity to speak. Also, the commission may limit your comments to 3 minutes, okay? So, commission members, your comments. Any comments?
I would like to make a comment or a very short amount of comments. One, I'd like to first say thank you all for letting me participate in this meeting with you. I'm honored to be in your company. You guys are a very strong, incredible group, and your volunteer work will not go unnoticed. You guys are going to do great things. I'm very happy to be here. I just want to let you know that I come from a background where I've been doing this for a long time, and I've worked with a lot of people, and I'm really honored to be working with you all. I'd also like to say that, you know, when we talk about our community, when we talk about doing these things, really it is beyond us. We are conduit, you know, we're working for these kids we talk about, the adults we talk about, people in need that we talk about, you know, so it goes above and beyond ourselves, but we are a conduit. So please use your powers, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. And I hope that we can all do some wonderful things with our time here. I'd also like to say that I am continuing to work on the mural project in the city and trying to document the murals in the city. If any of you have any information, any insight on the murals, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to have any of that information added to the database, because that's going to be something that we share with the entire city. And I would love to have that. So anyone who has insight on the murals, please get in touch with me. And you know, Tram has all my information, but you guys can also reach me through, Tram, do you have us listed for the public to reach us? Do you have a listing?
No, we don't.
Is there a
But the
way?
other,
Is there a way to do that, to let the public have our email or something so they can reach us if they have any input?
I mean, if you'd like to list, I can list anybody who'd like to list your contact information. I can list it in your biographies.
That would
So,
be great.
yeah, send me a confirmation if you would like your email or phone number or both listed, and I'd be happy to put it on.
Okay, great. And then I would like to say that I appreciate you guys letting me represent you with the city council in regards to funding. I'm really excited to do that. And I'm grateful that you're allowing me to serve you. And finally, I would just like to say, I want to bring the community together. I want us to all work together and have some great outcomes. So thank you guys for being there. And any of you guys on any committees or subcommittees or anything that want to call me and talk, I don't think it's a Brown Act violation for two of us to talk one-on-one. So please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. And I really am grateful. Thank you so much for tonight.
I would like to to Fernando's request. And in terms of a vision for Art Walk, you know, I think Art Walk has been an incredible event. You know, when we think about the last 7 or 10 years, especially, where we've seen, you know, the inclusion of the Santa Ana Unified District students, we've seen vendors and just the popularity of the event. And I'd love to continue that. I really think it's important that we secure funding so that, you know, this event not only continue, but the people who run it or are involved in it will feel that security of that investment. But as I've spoken up many times before, I'd love to see families involved more, and I would love to see them involved in more of an active way, because I've just had such wonderful experiences as a volunteer in arts organizations that I've served on or served in Santa Ana. When we do bring parents in, when we bring people who don't think they're artists or don't ever walk into galleries, don't feel comfortable in those, which was something else echoed in the master plan. I would love to create spaces where they do feel like they can be involved and they can create. And you know, I want to see more murals. I want to see more music. You know, I want to see all of these things, and so that's sort of my vision, and I'd love to support. And thank you, staff. Again, I know it's been a late night.
Can we also hear from Indigo and Josue on their thoughts? I'm excited with having Deborah on this committee. I can feel her passion. She's passionate about this as much as, you know, most of us artists are.
Yeah, I'll go next. Thank you, Jonathan. I think for me, one of my main goals is to honestly bring it out of downtown. As someone who's always lived on the edges of the city, I've moved around a couple of times, but never quite close enough to downtown to really feel included in the downtown space. I think that it would be really important, and this way we get equity involved also with regard to like the different populations and families who have to like bring kids and bring strollers and whatnot. And you know, I believe it was Pocha Peña who brought this up, and then also Stephanie Butler, I believe her name is, who sent a proposal as well to say that we could have, there's 6 wards, each ward gets 2 months of the year to do this Art Walk event, and it travels throughout the city. It becomes more of a citywide thing and less of a downtown thing. And that would definitely make it more equitable for families, for people of all accessibility, transportation needs to get involved as well. In particular, for me, I know that vendors are an important way to bring money in, but what I want it to do is to celebrate our city, our artists, our residents, more so than it brings in just business. The business is a secondary benefit from this, but apologies, my dogs are really excited about this as well. But what comes first are our residents, not the business that it brings in. And the artists, of course, the artists who have been at the center of this since before it was even a formally recognized event.
Who's next? Tram? Bianca?
Yeah, I think
Go ahead, Jose.
I'll go next. Yeah, so it's been an interesting meeting. So, you know, like I'm just happy that we were able to work through it all, and you know, I think all of us here are very passionate about you know, being on it. I think there's definitely a lot of work to go around, even beyond the Ad-Hoc Committee. You know, so you know, definitely think that that's going to be an ongoing thing, especially with the conversation around the master plan for the arts. Yeah, my hopes and my views about the art walk is that it'll, you know, go back to what it was in the beginning, when artists, you know, kind of, you know, spearheaded it and were leading it, and it was a community kind of event before it was hijacked or just taken away from them in whatever way, or, you know, words you want to use for how it went about. So yeah, I see us striking a good balance between, you know, what was in place, you know, when it first started, to then what it became, but then also being able to strike a new vision and a new tone that is less dependent around the alcohol consumption aspect of it, and so, you know, my hope is that it perhaps could be pushed to earlier or not Saturday. You know, those are the kind of things that I have in my mind, you know, to make it so that, you know, it could be during the day, it could be more family oriented, and it doesn't overlap with the happenings of you know, of a Saturday night in Santa Ana, which is just, it is what it is. It's lively, it's rowdy, and people that go there, you know, there to have a good time. But also, you know, I think it's to center the artist and also to be able to make it inclusive to youth is an important aspect of me. And, you know, and also, you know, being a professional about it, you know, being able to ultimately come up with an idea that, you know, with the help of the community, to bring forward to the committee, to the commission, so that we all can have a discussion. Because what happens on the ad hoc, that's not what's going to be set in stone. It's still going to need to be brought, you know, to the full group, and then, you know, there will be further comments, you know, and then further steps, like, are we going to have a standing committee? What would that look like? You know, so many other kind of, you know, decisions that are further down the line. But, you know, as far as the way I see it, we're doing research, we're figuring out how to get funding, and we're, you know, looking at, you know, building some infrastructure about how it would go about and who would be on that art committee. You know, a balance between artists and community members and city officials and city staff, something that, you know, can make it just, you know, be what it needs to be. A little long-winded, but that's my vision.
I guess I'm the final one, Tram?
Yes. Go ahead,
Okay.
Frank.
My hand is up. Actually,
Oh, sorry,
Robin, did we
Robin.
forget you? Did we
I've had-
forget you?
Yeah, it's okay. I didn't let you forget me. Thank you. So I too want to echo the sentiments of gratitudes that have been expressed, especially for the staff that support us and are here to go on in this robust agenda for tonight. I want to thank the people that originally worked on the Arts and Culture Master Plan, including Frank, who continues to give back, and several who were in the room tonight to make public comments to us, like Alicia Rojas. I saw John Spiak in the room, Victor Payan, and Pocha Pena, who was also on the commission at the time. So we thank you for what you put into place that we can continue to build on and realize. And I'm excited about what Commissioner Harris said earlier about helping us all as a community to think broadly about what artists are and how we give the opportunity for creators to create, but also build the artistic literacies in our community that understand what the arts are so that they value them enough to invest in them as well. So that we are creating a space for artistic literacies and that we give engagement as well as opportunities for those artists who want to make a living at it and those families to be engaged as well. So I appreciate everybody's ideas. I look forward to hearing from the Ad Hoc Committee on the Art Walk because we all have a very vested interest from multiple lenses about the success and the beauty of this opportunity in our community and to build on the rich heritage that it's had and continue like everything that's happening in education. We're not ever going back to school the way that we were before. And I think these are the times in our community that we have to really reimagine and capitalize on the silver linings in what has occurred for us. And last but not least, I look forward to hearing from Bianca about our special meeting and setting that date so we can do the work study on the budget and really sending you lots of encouragement, Commissioner Harris, for your speaking on our behalf whenever that's going to be. So so thanks everybody. We appreciate all of the artists in our community. Sorry, I just kicked over something. And those are my comments for today.
So I finalize as chairperson. Are you there, Tram?
Go ahead, Frank.
Okay, to finalize. Okay, we finalize, and I do want to let people know that Art Walk intent is to sell art so artists could make a living. I have too many artists in my life that I've seen that struggle and barely make a living. If we can figure out how we make that an ambience of where we could have people that are seriously come in and buy art, we could accomplish that. Sometimes we want to do too many things in one place and it's not going to be possible. And I'd love to have a partnership with the parks. And like Indigo says, we have 6 wards. Why can't we have an art walk in a park in each specific ward and move around? We could do it on panels and we could invite artists and we could have music and we could have families in the parks. So I leave that for you to think. And hopefully we could do something on that aspect. And as I talked to Nelida, I think from my ward, we have by Centennial Park. So it's a pretty interesting park, large park, and we could do one heck of an event. We could do Dia de los Muertos, Dia de los Altares at Centennial. What do you say? Huh? Okay, Jose, what do you think? Anyway, but I leave you with that thought. Thank you. And like I said, at the end of the day, we're a team and we have to come together and fight it out, but we'll get ahead, okay? Thank you for tonight. This meeting, if we don't have any other discussion, this meeting is adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for June 17th at 5:30 p.m. Tram, you there?
Yes.
Okay, so we're adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Good night, you guys.
Have a good night.